Chapter 377. As this terrifying aura fluctuated, the white mist began to boil over the Tai immortal pond. Even the vortex of spiritual energy in front of everyone could not stop the boiling of the white mist. In the eyes of the public, the boiling mist gradually subsided. To be precise, it gathered towards the center of Tai immortal pond. Countless mists gathered towards the center of Tai immortal pond, and the thick mist above Tai immortal pond gradually became thinner. This ghost fog has dissipated. If that's the case, the fog's restraint on consciousness has disappeared. Finally, you don't have to be anymore. The monks from the Xianqing Dao League and the three major sects found that as the mist above the Tai immortal pond dissipated, they had regained the ability to detect their consciousness, and they could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. Without the detection of spiritual awareness, the cultivator's strength has been weakened by at least half. Not only has he lost the ability to fight at a distance, but even in close combat, it is difficult to anticipate opportunities. Just like the two Qingwei Taoist Yuaning Zhangjuan who died in a sneak attack by Chan Daoxian. Although their strength is not comparable to Chan Daoxian, if they have the help of divine sense, the two will not even have time to react, and they will be killed by Chan Daoxian with one blow. Not far from the center of Tai immortal pond, Chan Daoxian clearly sensed that the mist in Tai immortal pond did not dissipate, but gathered towards the interior of the immortal pond. Inside the immortal pond, it seems that a peerless treasure is about to be born. If his guess is correct, this treasure is the ultimate goal of his trip to Shinshui. Thinking of this, Chan Daoxian dived straight into the bottom of Tai immortal pond. Although the water quality of Tai immortal pond and Wangxinghai are slightly different, as a veteran who often dives into the bottom of the sea, Chan Daoxian's water escape technique has long been practiced to the perfect state of perfection. Sneaking into the mere Tai immortal pond is no longer a problem. Although not every one of the Xianqing Dao League and the true monarchs of the three major sects are good at the technique of water escape, but after all, they have a high level of cultivation, and a mere amount of pool water is nothing in their eyes. They all frowned and plunged into the pool. The water escape technique was fully deployed, and Chan Daoxian's escape speed in the water was nearly twice as fast as other nascent soul true monarchs. In addition, his position from Tai Shinshui is closer than that of true monarch nascent soul. If things go on like this, Chan Daoxian will definitely be the first to arrive at the place where Tai Shinshui was born. This scene was all witnessed by other true monarch Yuaning. They were all anxious, especially the members of the Xianqing Dao League. They were not afraid that Chan Daoxian would the Tai Shinshui. In their opinion, Chan Daoxian was alone. No matter how strong his strength was, he could not stop the siege of so many Yuaning Zhangjuan present. Compared with robbing Tai Shinshui, Chan Daoxian is more likely to destroy Tai Shinshui. Chan Daoxian, you dare. Don't be impulsive. Tai Shinshui can only be seen in 1,000 years, and Daoyuchan has something to discuss. This is the sound transmission of the divine consciousness of the true monarch of the Xianqing Dao League. There are also the true monarchs of the three major sects standing by the fire. Chan Daoxian, don't be stunned. Tai Shinshui must not be kept. Once this thing is obtained by the Xianqing Dao League, the major sects have no reason to survive. Chan Daoxian, destroy it. Either intimidating, begging, or joking, all kinds of sound transmissions of divine consciousness were introduced into Chan Daoxian's sea of consciousness. Chan Daoxian was determined and unmoved. His purpose is not to damage the Tai Shinshui. In fact, he desires the Tai Shinshui more than any monk. Chan Daoxian pursed his lips tightly, and his speed under the water became faster and faster. Finally, at the same moment when Tai Shinshui was formed, he just arrived here. The appearance of Tai Shinshui is the size of an adult fist, like a dark orb, quietly suspended in the depths of Tai immortal pond. After the Tai Shinshui absorbed all the mist, the amazing aura fluctuations it exudes also converged. Seeing this, Chan Daoxian looked happy. With a wave of his hand, he put the Tai Shinshui into his storage ring. The true monarchs of the three major sects saw this scene with their divine sense, and they all went crazy. Chan Daoxian didn't destroy Tai Shinshui but stole it. What did he want? The monks of the Xianqing Dao League breathed a sigh of relief. It was good that Tai Shinshui was not destroyed. At least they still have the possibility to retake it. The battle between Qianyuan Jianzong and Xianqing Dao League is in jeopardy. The high-level officials of Xianqing Dao League all hope to use this Tai Shun Shui to turn the tide against the wind. This thing must not have the slightest risk. But no matter what, the treasure of Tai Shun Shui, the Xianqing Taoist Alliance and the three major sects, will not allow it to fall into the hands of Qinyuan Jianzong. Chun Daoxian. Hand over the Tai Shun Shui. Chun Daoxian, there are 100 true monarchs here, and one spit can drown you, not to mention that you haven't reached the world realm. Even if you are the real monarch of the world realm, under the joint siege of 100 true monarchs, there is only one dead end. Leave the Tai Shun Shui, and my Xianyang sect can save your life. The sect master of Xianyang sect said sincerely. Chun Daoxian, destroy the Tai Shun Shui, and our three sects can join forces to save your life? The sect master of Tianyanzong also persuaded by sound transmission. Whoa! Chun Daoxian flew straight out of Tai Immortal Pond, and then a teleportation, disappeared above the water surface of Tai Immortal Pond. After a few flashes, Chen Daoxuan's figure came to the edge of Tai Immortal Pond. At the edge of Tai Immortal Pond, all were besieged by the Qingwei Daoist formation. Seeing the transparent formation light curtain, Chun Daoxian frowned slightly. Next moment, he directly called out the Stars Kendo map, and the mana was fully infused, and the Stars Kendo map directly enveloped the entire Tai Immortal Pond. Yun Kuan just flew out of Tai Immortal Pond, and before he had time to teleport, he felt that the space was extremely frozen, and he couldn't perform teleport at all. Dao Domain Magic Weapon? Wuxiang also just got out of the water at the moment he felt it, shook his head and said, "It's not a Taoist magic weapon, at least not a 5th-order Taoist magic weapon. The power of a 5th-order Taoist magic weapon will never be so powerful. This magic tool is a bit like a 6th-order domain magic tool, but with the mana of Chun Daoxuan's Jindan period, how can the 6th-order magic tool be activated?" Wuxiang was puzzled. No matter what, take back the Tai Shun Shui first, and catch Chun Daoxian later. These secrets will be revealed. Brother Yun is right. Although the two communicated each other's voices, the escape light did not decrease at all, but under the suppression of the Xingchen Kendo map, the speed of escape was reduced by several grades. If under normal circumstances it only takes half a cup of tea for them to fly over the entire Tai Immortal Pond, then now with a cup of tea they may not be able to reach Chun Daoxuan's position. A cup of tea time about 10 minutes. Chun Daoxian must break the 6th-order formation in front of him within 10 minutes. Thinking of this, Chun Daoxian took a deep breath. The next moment, the three-handed immortal sword of transparent, light blue, and cyan appeared in front of Chun Daoxian. The power of the formation and the pull of the mind. The three swords of Changying, Feishua, and Qingyan merged together again. Perhaps it was due to the fusion of the rules many times that Chun Daoxuan's understanding of the Tiangang sword formation has improved, or perhaps Chan Daoxuan's potential has exploded in desperation. In short, this time he integrated the three laws which seemed to be smoother. The degree of fusion of the rules also faintly surpassed 70%. The Dao law of the high-level section of the three laws has a degree of integration exceeding 70%. GUI, but in terms of the degree of integration of the Dao law, even the true monarchs of many worlds are not as good as Chun Daoxian. After all, there are many real monarchs in the realm of the world. They only break through to the realm of the world when the fusion of the three laws reaches only 50%. In terms of the fusion of the laws, they are naturally inferior to Chun Daoxian at this time. Soon, a golden giant sword appeared in front of Chun Daoxian again. Looking at the light curtain in front of him, Chun Daoxian suddenly withdrew the suppression of the many nascent soul true monarchs from the Stars Kendo chart, and instead poured all the suppressing power of the Stars Kendo chart onto the 6th-order array light curtain in front of him. Suddenly, the formation light curtain in front of him made a creaking sound. In the rear, after losing the suppression of the Stars Kendo map, the speed of the true monarchs of the Xianqing Dao League and the three major sects skyrocketed, especially Yun Kuan and other true monarchs who were proficient in the laws of space. Simply cast space teleportation directly and fly towards Chun Daoxian. The moment Yun Kuan appeared behind Chun Daoxian, Chun Daoxuan's golden giant sword slashed towards the 6th-order formation light curtain with all his strength. Seeing this, Yun Kuan's face changed greatly. Regardless, he slapped Chun Daoxuan's back with a palm. In addition to Yun Kuan's terrifying physical power in this palm, there are also three laws entangled in the palm. Feeling the horror of the blow behind him, Chan Daoxian could only hope that the defense of the 6th Order Power Spirit Armor would be powerful enough. Otherwise, today is the time when life and death are eliminated. Chan Daoxian continued to control the golden giant sword while urging the spirit armor of his life, and slashed towards the light curtain of the formation. Boom! One after the other, the two attacks fell almost at the same time. Under the suppression of Chan Daoxian's Xingqian Kendo map, and the full-strength sword attack, the array light curtain was directly blasted into a hole, and Chan Daoxian himself was directly knocked out by Yun Kun's palm. Puff! Chan Daoxian suffered a blow from a top true monarch second only to Yi Tianqi, and felt a little sweet in his throat, and at the same time a trace of blood was left on the corner of his mouth. But that's all. For Chan Daoxian, who has a skull-shattering physical cultivation base, this injury is simply an itch. As for the 6th Order Power Spirit Armor on him, it was not damaged at all. The reason why Chan Daoxian vomited blood was because of the shock after being attacked. Although the defense of the spirit armor is strong, it is impossible to block all attacks 100%. The shock of a little attack is always unavoidable, and this is the same for any advanced spirit armor. Thanks. Chan Daoxian's figure was under the palm of Yun Kun's palm, and he shot out the 6th Order defensive formation at a faster speed. And the light curtain that was blasted by Chan Daoxian's sword with a huge crack also slowly recovered under the installation of the spiritual energy of the entire Qingwei Taoism. 6th Order Spirit Armor. Yun Kun looked at Chan Daoxian, who was sent away by his palm, and was slightly stunned. It is this moment of stunnedness. The 6th Order formation has been restored again. Damn! Yun Kun immediately reacted, took out the formation token from the storage ring, and dispersed the formation around the Tai Immortal Pond. And when he dispersed the formation, Chan Daoxian had already flickered a few times, and rushed to the exit of the Zhongmen defense formation of the Qingwei Taoist sect. Open the formation! Open the formation! Yun Kun's voice kept ringing in the ears of the Jindan cultivator who was in charge of the formation, but his movements were still a beat slower. At the critical moment, Chan Daoxian rushed out of the mountain protection formation of the Qingwei Taoist faction. Just as Chan Daoxian stepped out of the mountain protection formation of the Qingwei Taoist sect, two figures fell out of the void. Chan Daoxian took a closer look. Not Qin Zhan and Yi Tianqi, who were they? However, at this moment the auras of Qin Zhan and Yi Tianqi were all in decline. Especially Qin Zhan, although he is also the real monarch of the world, but the time to step into the world is still short. And he is not as good as Yi Tianqi, who has entered the world a long time ago. Palace Master Qin, I admire it. Yi Tianqi looked at Qin Zhan with a complicated expression and said sincerely, "Cough, are you still pulling me into your world?" Qin Zhan coughed lightly and said with a sneer. Hearing these words, Yi Tianqi thought of the world where Qin Zhan was so horribly stunned, and the corners of his mouth twitched. Immediately, he turned to look at Chan Daoxian, who flew to Qin Zhan's side. Yi Tianqi had just fought Qin Zhan in the world he had created, and he still didn't know what was going on outside. Until Yun Kun rushed over and shouted, Tai Shan Shui is in the hands of Chan Daoxian. The sect master must not let this thief run away. Hear this. Qin Zhan and Yi Tianqi's expressions suddenly changed. Yi Tianqi's face was gloomy, while Qin Zhan was shocked. He couldn't imagine how Chan Daoxian grabbed Tai Shan Shui in the hands of nearly 100 Yuanying true monarchs. However, now is not the time to tinker with this. He quickly grabbed Chan Daoxian's wrist and shouted, "Why are you stunned? Hurry up and run." Say it. With a teleport, he wanted to disappear in place. Only, Qin Zhan moved fast, Yi Tianqi moved faster. Chan Daoxian felt a terrifying pressure imprisoning his body. World projection. He immediately reacted, this is the means that the real monarch of the world can use. Speaking of the world projection, it is somewhat similar to the source world projection of the world demon. But the power is much more powerful than the source world projection of the ordinary world monster. Of course, which is more powerful depends on the strength of the world monster and the monk. Qin Zhan couldn't help being a little surprised when he saw that Yi Tianqi could still cast the world projection. Old guy, your world is in a mess. And you dare to force the world projection. Aren't you afraid that your world will completely collapse? There is no need for Qin Palace Master to worry about it. Hearing this, the relaxed expression on Qin Zhan's face disappeared and became extremely serious. He said to Chan Daoxian, I want you to help me hold back the world of these people. Half a cup of tea. Seeing such a serious look on Qin Zhan's face for the first time, Chen Daoxian had a bad premonition in his heart, and quickly asked, "What do you want?" Qin Zhan looked at the Qingwei Taoist sect and said in a cold voice, "Give them some ruthlessness." Hear this. Chen Daoxian had a faint guess in his heart. Immediately agreed, "Okay. Hurry up, I will block them." "Brothers." Qin Zhan patted Chen Daoxian on the shoulder, and then took out a large golden bell. The moment I saw this big clock, the expression of Yi Tianqi, who had always looked indifferent, changed drastically. "Emperor Yu Bell?" Immediately, he yelled at the group of Yuaning Zhenjuan who kept coming, "Hurry up and stop him! Hurry up!" Chapter 378. In the distance, Yuaning Zhenjuan flew over quickly one after another. Later, the true monarch Yuaning of the three major sects did not understand the reason, and shouted loudly, asking Chen Daoxian to hand over the Tai Shanshui. However, the members of the Xianqing Dao League all stared at Qin Zhan beside Chen Daoxian. Being locked by dozens of nascent soul true monarchs with their divine senses, Chen Daoxian felt an unprecedented psychological pressure. More importantly, this battle he can only deal with, cannot escape. Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian turned his head and said, "Come in first." Qin Zhan shook his hands, glanced at the Dongtian artifact in Chen Daoxian's hand, and nodded. Chen Daoxian waved his sleeves and immediately brought Qin Zhan into the small tower. However, perhaps Qin Zhan's Emperor Yes Zhongwei was too powerful. As soon as the other party entered the cave, a crack appeared on the tower of the small pagoda. Seeing this, Chen Daoxian's expression changed slightly. He knew in his heart that the heavenly cave artifact in his hand would not last long. "Qin Zhan, hurry up. I try my best." Hearing this, Chen Daoxian called out the Star Sword Dao map again. Brush. The Stars Kendo map unfolded directly, and a terrifying domain force erupted within the envelope of the Stars Kendo map. This terrifying domain force directly repelled Yi Tianqi's world projection. Seeing this scene, Yi Tianqi's expression suddenly changed. At this moment he looked directly at Chen Daoxian. "Sixth order domain instruments?" Chen Daoxian didn't answer. His figure flickered and disappeared in place. "Want to run?" Yi Tian was surprised to see that after Chen Daoxian broke the confinement of the world projection, he teleported again, and suddenly felt a little headache. Nascent soul monks who are proficient in the laws of space are considered the most difficult of all nascent soul true monarchs, because they can perform teleportation techniques at any time. Even if the other true monarchs are much stronger than the true monarch nascent soul who is proficient in the laws of space, it will be difficult to catch them. It stands to reason that it would be much simpler for the true monarch of the world realm to deal with the true monarch nascent soul, who is proficient in the laws of space. After all, once the world is projected, whether it is to imprison the space or bring the other party into the world created by him, can easily solve the problem that the other party is good at teleportation. However, Chen Daoxian is obviously not in this list, because he is not only proficient in the laws of space, but also has a high-level domain-like magic tool in his hand that can compete with the world projection of the real monarch of the world, the Star Kendo map. With this picture, Yi Tianqi could neither imprison the space around Chen Daoxian, nor bring him into his own world. He could only watch the other party keep teleporting within the range of his consciousness, but he couldn't catch him. "Sect Master, this kid is dragging time." On the side, Yun Kuan saw Chen Daoxian's plan at a glance. Wu Sheng also frowned and cupped his hands. Alliance leader, this son was able to escape with the help of this treasure, but now he deliberately delays the time. Could it be that Qin Zhan is really capable of using the Emperor Yes Bell? The outside world has been rumored that the Qinyuan sword has the immortal weapon of the Emperor Zhongyu, but this rumor has never been confirmed. After all, thousands of years ago, Qinyuan Jianzong suffered a catastrophe that almost wiped out the family, and the other party did not use the Emperor Yu Bell. Therefore, the Xianqing Taoist League believed that the fact that Qinyuan Jianzong possessed immortal artifacts was mostly made up. Unexpectedly, the other party actually has a pure Yang fairy weapon. You must know that this is a pure Yang fairy weapon with a rank above all the magic tools, not to mention the first-class sect that is many transcendental robbery Tianzuan. It is not necessarily a pure Yang fairy weapon. It is foreseeable that if the possession of Emperor Yesbel by Emperor Qinyuan Jianzong is exposed today, perhaps in the future, Daojun Yuanshan and even Tianzuan Dujia will come to seek treasure. After all, the pure yang immortal artifact is much more attractive to monks above the primordial spirit stage than Taishan Shui. Do not know. Yi Tianqi tried to lock Chen Daoxuan's position with his divine sense, and replied, but we can't bet, and we can't afford it. Hearing this, Wu Shang turned his head to look at the sect of Qingwei Dao Pai Nuada, and knew in his heart what Yi Tianqi meant. The sect of the Qingwei Taoist sect not only has a high-level spiritual vein, there are also countless inheritances and disciples in it. Once attacked by the immortal weapon, the Qingwei Taoism may really decline completely. Although true monarch nascent soul is the foundation for the sect power, the inheritance of the sect and the large number of disciples are also the foundation of the sect power. Once these no longer exist, people like Yi Tianqi can only be regarded as a group of nascent soul loose cultivators. As the sect master of Xianyang sect, Wu Shang could not know what Yi Tianqi was thinking. It's just that at the moment Chen Daoxian avoided fighting, and they had no good way. Chen Daoxian, Yi Tianqi roared, you have already captured the Taishan Shui? Do you still want to kill them all? Many times the consciousness lock is still in vain. Yi Tianqi was in a hurry. Listening to his tone, he actually started to soften. On the side, Wu Shang looked at Yi Tianqi in surprise, but he didn't say anything after all. In any case, the Qingwei Daoist faction must not be attacked by immortal weapons. Wu Shang glanced at the mountain protection formation of the Qingwei Taoist sect, and knew in his heart that the Sixth Order formation in front of him would definitely not be able to stop the attack of the immortal weapon. Chen Daoxian, what do you want? Make a price. Yi Tianqi continued to shout, I know you are not a disciple of the Qianyuan sword sect, and the Qianyuan sword sect can give you the Chan family 10 times, no 100 times as much. As long as you hand over Qin Zhan, I can even swear on the avenue. Seeing that Chen Daoxian was unmoved, Yi Tianqi threatened, Chen Daoxian, do you think it is a good thing that your strength has reached the level close to the real monarch of the world? Big mistake. I don't think you are aware of the impending disaster. Have you ever thought about how the Qianyuan sword sect will deal with a top powerhouse like you from the Chen family? As a family cultivator of Wan Xinghai, you must know about the disaster of the Qi family in Yuzhou, right? Now your Chen family is 10 times more threatening than the Qi family. How do you think Qianyuan Jianzong will treat your Chen family once they destroy my Xianqing Taoist League? Thousands of miles away. When Chen Daoxian heard Yi Tianqi's words, his heart could not help beating fiercely. I have to say that Yi Tianqi's remarks really hit Chen Daoxuan's weakness. Although his current strength is strong, he is still unable to compare with Qianyuan sword sect. However, his rise is too fast. Wouldn't Qianyuan Jianzong feel fear? If he had such a talented guest in the Chen family, would he be happy or worried about Chen Daoxian? After all, the cultivator of his Chen family is not a direct disciple of Qianyuan Jianzong. The two sides are always separated by a layer. Zaidadong Day. Qin Zhan also seemed to sense Chen Daoxuan's restlessness, and he quickly said, Brother Chen wants to listen to the nonsense of that idiot. The reason for the Qi family's affairs is complicated, and it cannot be explained clearly in a few words. I Qin Zhanka make a great oath here. As long as your Chen family does not take the initiative to attack my Qianyuan sword sect, my Qianyuan sword sect will never do the thing of crossing the river and demolishing the bridge. Brother Qin is serious. Qianyuan Jianzong has ruled Wan Xinghai for so many years. I can trust the Chen family. Hearing this, Qin Zhan breathed a sigh of relief. So close. This dog Yi Tianqi is really provocative. Qin Zhan secretly hated in his heart. Time passed little by little. Yi Tianqi could never lock Chen Daoxuan's position. His heart sank little by little. He immediately said to Yun Kuan, notify the disciples in the sect to fully open the formation. Afterwards, he sent a voice transmission to the much younger Palace Master Yue. Bring the elite disciples of the sect and escape. Guyin Palace Lord Yu's beautiful eyes froze for a moment. Quick! Yi Tianqi stared sharply. Palace Master Yue didn't say a word, and flew into the sect with a flash of light. The nascent soul true monarch of the three major sects is also quietly staying aside at this moment. The fact that things have developed to this point is not what everyone expected. They never thought that the two people in the Qinyuan Jianzhong district would not only grab the Taishan Shui, but may also severely damage the entire Qingwei Taoist sect in one fell swoop. This moment, the three major sects finally felt the fear of the Xianqing Dao League when it faced the Qinyuan sword sect. After a stick of incense, Chen Daoxian saw more and more cracks on the small pagoda. His face changed suddenly, and he was about to release Qin Zhan with Yu Huangzhong. I saw that Qin Zhan and the Emperor Yu in his hands had turned into a blazing sun. In the sky, in addition to the original sun, another sun appeared. The terrifying momentum pushed Chen Daoxian back hundreds of miles. Looking at the Emperor Yu bell in Qin Zhan's hands, Chen Daoxian murmured, "Is this the real pure yang immortal artifact? Brother Chen, hold on for a while." Okay. Chen Daoxian looked at Yi Tianqi, who was rushing towards Qin Zhan. In front of him, the three immortal swords merged into one again. Roll! Yi Tianqi roared angrily and ignored it, trying to blow Chen Daoxian away with one punch, interrupting Qin Zhan's use of the Emperor Yes bell. Humph! Chen Daoxian snorted coldly. The golden giant sword rushed towards Yi Tianqi, and at the same time, the star sword Dao map exploded with all his strength, and the terrifying power of the domain suppressed Yi Tianqi, directly compressing his world projection to less than 10 miles. Yi Tianqi shouted, "Yun Kuan, stop him!" "Yes, sect master." In Yun Kun's hand, a golden seal rose up in the wind. On the seal, the power of 3 laws entwined. Chen Daoxian felt that the power of this blow might be able to directly wipe out the peak of tens of thousands of feet. However, Chen Daoxian did not retreat but advanced, and the Xingqian Kendo map suppressed it, blocking the speed of the bombardment of the golden seal for a moment. Then the golden giant sword slashed directly at Yi Tianqi. Boom! Forced to be helpless, Yi Tianqi fought with Chen Daoxian recklessly, and his body was suddenly ejected hundreds of miles away. At this time, Yun Kun's golden seal finally arrived. Chen Daoxian's complexion was condensed, the golden giant sword dissipated in an instant, and in front of him, it recondensed into a round shield made of the combination of 3 laws. His hands were also staggered in front of his chest. Boom! With a single blow, the circular shield of the law shattered, and Chen Daoxian was smashed hundreds of miles away by the golden seal. Puff! A mouthful of blood spit out, and Chen Daoxian's arms trembled slightly. But fortunately, the defense of the 6th Order Power Spirit armor is amazing, and after this blow, it was unscathed. Yi Tianqi and Yun Kuan, who were slashed by Chen Daoxian's sword, were about to regroup and attack Qin Zhan again, only to find that the space in front of them was jelly-like and extremely sticky. The fairy. Yun Kuan looked at the golden Yu Huangzhong in Qin Zhan's hands in horror, grabbed Yi Tianqi, who was about to continue his desperate efforts, and shouted, "Let's go! Let's go!" "Hey, I want to go." Qin Zhan's face was pale, but his eyes were bright. He looked at Yi Tianqi, Yun Kuan, and the group of Yuanying Zhenjuan of the Xianqing Dao League who were rushing behind him, and said coldly, "Go to hell. Sect master, go." Yun Kuan held down Yi Tianqi, exhausted 90% of his mana, and finally tore a crack in the viscous space that was enough for one person to pass. The old man is already nearing his lifespan, but the sect master cannot die, and the Qingwei Taoism cannot be destroyed. Saying that, he pushed Yi Tianqi into the space crack. Making this action, Yun Kuan watched the scorching sun in front of him swallow him little by little. This moment, everything that stood in front of Yu Huangzhong, whether it was people or other things, was like snow under the scorching sun, melting and vaporizing little by little. The first to bear the brunt is the second strongest of the Qingwei Taoist sect, Elder Yun Kuan. Yu Huangzhong pushed horizontally all the way, and the Yuanying Zhenjuan standing in front of it, one after another, was vaporized and dissolved. The Yuanying Zhenjuan of the Xianqing Dao League wanted to run away, but they were like insects on a spider web. They could only struggle, but could not escape. This is because Qin Zhan can't fully exert the power of the immortal tool. Otherwise these people can't even struggle. On the side, Chen Daoxian stared blankly at the scene in front of him. Shocked inside. This is the pure yang immortal artifact, the biggest trump card of Qinyuan sword sect. In one blow, the Xianqing Dao League, including Yun Kuan, lost a total of 17 Yuanying true monarchs. The people from the 3 major sects avoided them early. However, Yu Huangzhong's attack did not stop. Boom! Yu Huangzhong slammed into the mountain protection formation of the Qingwei Taoist sect. In Chen Daoxuan's eyes, the 6th-rank high-grade mountain protection formation with extremely terrifying defensive power was attacked by Yu Huangzhong. Fragile like a piece of paper, the array light curtain is easily torn to shreds. Next moment, the main spiritual vein of the Qingwei Taoist sect was directly hit by Yu Huangzhong. A terrifying shock wave like a water pattern erupted in the main spiritual vein of the Qingwei Taoist sect, circle after circle, as if it would never stop. Space was torn to shreds by the explosion. Space black holes formed in this void. This is not the small void black hole caused by Chen Daoxuan's attack. Yu Huangzhong's blow caused the void black hole to be large or small. The big one is 100 times bigger than the one created by Chen Daoxian, and the small one is the same size as the one created by Chen Daoxian. Such void black holes are densely packed throughout the entire Qingwei Taoist sect. Under the pull of these void black holes, the Lingshan and disciples of the Qingwei Taoist sect were all attracted and torn by it, and finally became the nourishment for repairing the void black holes. Crying and wailing resounding. At this moment, whether it is a cultivator in the qi refining stage or a cultivator in the jindan stage, there is no difference in front of the void black hole. Looking at this scene, a nascent soul true monarch of the 3 major sects in the distance muttered, "The Qingwei Dao sect is over." Yeah, it's over. The sect master of Tianyanzong has extremely complicated eyes. Immediately they looked at Qin Zhan and Chen Daoxian. At this moment Qin Zhan just waved his hand to put away the Emperor Yes bell, and his face was as pale as paper. Go! Chen Daoxian nodded, grabbed Qin Zhan's arm, and with a flash the two disappeared in place. From beginning to end no one dared to stop them. Chapter 379. Twin Peaks. Inside a refined and elegant fairy palace, a woman with a graceful figure and a beautiful face, leaning on a railing overlooking the mountain stream and the sea of clouds. Beside her, a qi-refining female maid bowed her head and waited. Since Chen Daoxian killed the 2 Jindan monks entrenched in the Shuangxing Peak, most of the low-level monks on this spiritual vein have switched to menting, relying on Xiling. Chen Daoxian had no intention of paying any attention to these low-level monks from Izumo. Usually, he is left to Xiling to take care of it. During this period of time, Xiling has also been well organized. Chen Daoxian used Shuangshengfeng as a stronghold to continuously attack and kill the transportation line of Xianqing Daomeng. But there was no low-level monk from Shuangshengfeng to inform. It can be seen that Xiling's means of managing subordinates are very good. The personal mate next to her, Xiaolu, was selected by Xiling from the many low-level qi-refining monks in Shuangxing Peak. Xiling looked at the sea of clouds, put her hands on her cheeks and said to herself, "You said, will he come back?" On the side, the maid who kept her head down, wearing a light green gauze, raised her head, thought for a moment and said, "This servant thinks that Chan Zhenren will definitely come back." Oh! Hearing this, Xiling immediately became interested and turned to look at her. "Why do you see it?" Seeing the happy expression on the master's pretty face, Xiala's courage gradually grew. She bowed her head and said slowly, "With the beauty of the young lady, how can there be no reason for men in the world to not be moved? Although Chen Zhenren's cultivation base is high, he is also a man. In addition, Miss Ninine and mysterious body has been coveted by countless male cultivators. If Chen Zhenren is looking for a dual cultivator companion, she will definitely choose you, Mississippi." Hearing this, Xiling's pretty face blushed at first, and then she spat softly and said softly, "What covetousness, am really not ashamed to speak." Seeing the master's appearance, Xiaolu pleaded guilty, then covered his mouth and laughed softly. Seeing that Xiaolu still dared to laugh at her, Xiling's face turned even redder, and she raised her hand to fight. Who knows? The space in front of him fluctuated like a stream of water. Immediately afterwards, 2 figures appeared in front of Xiling and Xiaolu. One of the figures staggered and then stood firm. But Xiling didn't have the time to pay attention to this staggering cultivator. Even if the other party was true monarch Yuanying, all her mind at the moment was focused on the cultivator next to Qin Zhan. "Brother Chen." Surprised, Xiling hurried forward and pulled Chen Daoxuan's sleeve uncontrollably. "Are you back? I have seen Chen Zhenren." Seeing Chen Daoxian, Xiaolu hurriedly saluted. Chen Daoxian nodded, then waved, "Go out first." Yes, Chunjunren. Xiaolu responded immediately and slowly exited Asgard. This time only Ziling, Chan Daoxian and Qin Zhan were left in the immortal palace. Qin Zhan first glanced at Chan Daoxian, then glanced at Ziling again, with a faint smile on the corner of his mouth. He joked to Chan Daoxian's voice transmission, "Brother Chan is really unrestrained and unrestrained. He came to go out of the country to fight, and he didn't forget to find a confidant." Heard. Chan Daoxian glanced at him expressionlessly, then looked at Ziling and introduced, "This is Qin Zhan, the head of the Zhenhai Temple of Qianyuan Sword Sect. This is Z, who was rescued by me in Jinyuan Xianqing by chance." Fairyling. After a brief introduction, Chan Daoxian said to Ziling, "Fairy, don't worry, since I promised to protect you. I will never break my promise. It's just that I still have one important thing to do right now, so I'll ask Hall Master Qin to take care of you for a while." Having said that, Chan Daoxian looked at Qin Zhan again. "This place is secluded and it is a good place for cultivation. You can recuperate here, and Fairy Ziling will ask you to take care of it for the time being." Hearing this, Qin Zhan sighed and said, "I hope Brother Chun will handle the matter of the Zhang family carefully. It seems that my Qianyuan sword sect has won a great victory in this battle, but the Taishan Shui you got is not used to improve your own cultivation. It's to save people. My Wan Xinghai strength has not improved in essence, but in the eyes of the outside world, I am afraid that my Qianyuan sword sect has become their confidant. After this battle, the three major sects are very likely to join forces with the Xianqing Dao League. Therefore, I can't be chaotic within the Wangxinghai, do you understand?" Hearing this, Chan Daoxian thought for a while and then said, "I can't guarantee what I will do. It depends on how the Zhang family treats my 13th uncle." Although Chan Daoxian's tone was flat, Qin Zhan felt the anger he couldn't suppress under his flat tone. "The Zhang family?" Qin Zhan shook his head. "Forget it, let's go." After all, Qin Zhan no longer persuades him. Chan Daoxian cupped his hands towards the opponent, and his figure disappeared instantly. Until he left, Chan Daoxian didn't say a second word to Ziling. Ziling looked at the place where Chan Daoxian disappeared, and was lost. Wangxinghai Southeast Waters. Taizhou Extreme Night Immortal City. Most of the buildings in Extreme Night Immortal City are dominated by black tones, which are very solemn and solemn. Inside the fairy city, Zhang family land, in a towering floating fairy palace. A cultivator with silver hair and a black Taoist robe stood with his arms and hands, and he was holding a jade communication talisman in his hand. The silver-haired cultivator turned around, and it turned out to be Zhang Taiyuan, the head of the Zhang family who went to the Chan family half a year ago to kidnap Chan Xianhe, the old patriarch of the Chan family. "Come in." Outside the door, a cultivator from the Purple Mansion walked in tremblingly. Seeing the ancestor of the family, his body trembled even more. The Zifu cultivator in front of him is Zhang Chenai, the Daozi of the Zhang family. During this time, he was responsible for taking care of Chan Xianhe. In addition, Zhang Taiyuan had already said hello in advance, to let Zhang Chan take care of Chan Xianhe well at night, and Chan Xianhe must not be allowed to have an accident. Just now Zhang Taiyuan just received a message. Qin Zhan and Chan Daoxian, the masters of Zhenhai Hall, raided the Qingwei Taoist faction and stole Taishan Shui from the Qingwei Taoist faction. After hearing the news, Zhang Taiyuan felt as if a magnitude 18 earthquake had set off in his heart. Qianyuan Jianzong actually snatched the Taishan Shui from the Qingwei Taoist faction. The reason why Zhang Taiyuan is willing to hold the treasure on Xianqing Daomeng even when Qianyuan Sword Sect is on the verge of breaking out, apart from the treasures given by the other party, his Zhang family cannot refuse, there is another important reason, that is, the Qingwei Daoist sect has Taishan Shui. In Zhang Taiyuan's view, Taishan Shui is an excellent artifact for the Xianqing Dao League, to turn the tide against the wind and change the situation of the battle. Such a treasure, the Xianqing Dao League actually lost it. This made Zhang Taiyuan almost want to vomit blood. But this is the end of the matter, and regretting it will not help. Now what the Zhang family can do is to try to make up for their relationship with the Chun family, and in the next period of time the Zhang family must be as low-key as possible, and in the future standing team the Zhang family must be firm standing behind Qianyuan Jianzong. Only in this way can the Zhang family be preserved. Fortunately, in Zhang Taiyuan's eyes, Qianyuan Jianzong should not touch the Zhang family in a short time. First, the Zhang family is the backbone of the Yin faction, the third elder of Qinyuan Jianzong. Second, the crisis faced by Qinyuan Jianzong did not end. Guyuan Although Qinyuan Jianzong grabbed Taishan Shui, Qinyuan Jianzong did not give birth to monks in the Yuanshan period. At least, the Xianqing Dao League still has the strength to resist. No matter how bad it is, the Xianqing Dao League can still ask the surrounding sect forces for help. I believe that no sect is willing to see a sect that is in full swing rising near them. Next, these sects are bound to frantically pull its hind legs behind Qinyuan Jianzong. In this way, Qinyuan Jianzong has to rely even more on the local forces of Wan Xinghai. Although the scattered cultivator broke out with unprecedented brilliance in the battle between the Qinyuan Sword Sect and the Xianqing Taoist Alliance, the power of the family is no weaker than that of the scattered cultivator. Perhaps the number of nascent soul cultivators in the family power is not as many as that of the loose cultivator nascent soul, but the cultivation base and strength of the family's true monarch nascent soul is far more than those of the loose cultivation true monarchs. The Zhang family has always tolerated Yuanshan Jinjuan, not because he lacked the strength to destroy the other party, but because it involved too much to destroy Yuanshan Xianqing. Doing so is equivalent to giving Qinyuan Jianzong a chance to destroy his Zhang family in an open and honest manner. Zhang Taiyuan is not stupid, so naturally he would not do such stupid things. In the same way, what the Zhang family did to the Chun family this time made the Chun family extremely angry, but it was within the rules set by Qinyuan Jianzong. No matter how dissatisfied Qinyuan Jianzong was, he couldn't move his Zhang family. Otherwise, Wan Xinghai will have civil strife. At that time, under the internal and external troubles, Qinyuan Jianzong will have to follow in the footsteps of the Wei Dao faction. Regardless of how powerful a sect is, it will only take minutes if it really wants to decline. In the history of Xian Yunzhu, such lessons abound. Seeing Jiang Chenai, Zhang Taiyuan had a kind expression on his face. Although Jiang Chenye's talent is far from comparable to that of Chen Daoxian, he is also considered to be the top arrogance of the Zhang family. Zhang Taiyuan was always heartily happy to see the outstanding descendants of the family. Dust Knight, what's the matter? Hearing this, Jiang Chenye's body trembled even more. He trembled and said, Ancestor Chan Xianha, he? The kindness on Zhang Taiyuan's face disappeared instantly. His figure flashed, and he suddenly appeared in front of Jiang Chenai, grabbed his collar and said solemnly, Come on, what's wrong with Chan Xianha? Jiang Chenai was heartbroken, closed his eyes and said, I'm afraid Chan Xianha is about to die. What? Zhang Taiyuan suddenly became anxious. Why can't he do it? Didn't I let you take care of him? Could it be that you took revenge and tortured him on purpose? Zhang Taiyuan's eyes were cold, and his whole body exuded coldness. Hearing this, Jiang Chenai was so frightened that he immediately fell to his knees, kowtows continuously, and cried out in grief, Old ancestor Mingjian, that Chan Xianha is only a low-level cultivator of the 9th level qi refining period. It's a miracle that his Shouyuan can last until now. His Shouyuan is about to die. It really has nothing to do with me. Besides, with Patriarch's purpose, even if you gave me 10 courage, I wouldn't dare to retaliate against him, Chan Xianha. Seeing Jiang Chenye's appearance, Zhang Taiyuan said coldly, Get out of the way first and come and see with me. Yes. Jiang Chenai stood up immediately. Zhang Taiyuan waved his sleeves, and the two figures disappeared directly on the spot. Izumo Kingdom, Jinan Xianqing. At this time it has been almost a year since the Jinan army recovered Jinan Pass. During this period of time, under the vigorous management of Fairy Qi Yao, Jinan Xianqing not only regained its vitality, but also transformed from a frontline Xianqing into a logistics supply Xianqing. Now, with the continuous victory of Qinyuan Jianzong's war against the Xianqing Dao League, the fronts of the two sides are constantly advancing towards the control area of the Xianqing Dao League. Seeing that, almost the entire Izumo Kingdom will be brought under the control of Qinyuan Sword Sect. This Jinan Xianqing, which was originally located on the front line, naturally became a rear supply base. In Jinan Xianqing, it is located in the city lord's mansion at the core location. Luo Li, Chan Dalian and Qi Yao were walking in the courtyard. The last time Chen Xianha was kidnapped by the Zhang family, Chan Dalian took Luo Li to Qinyuan Jianzong immediately, and took the space teleportation array of Qinyuan Jianzong to Jinan Xianqing. Originally, Chen Dalian expected to find Chen Daoxian here. After all, the Zhang family kidnapped Chen Xianhe, and the matter involved Yuanying Xinjuan, which was beyond Chen Daolian's ability. But she didn't expect that Chen Daoxian was not in Jinan Xiancheng, but went to the enemy's hinterland. This time, Chen Dalian was a little blinded. Even due to the distance between the two sides, Chen Daoxian's position was erratic. Not to mention that her communication jade talisman could not contact the other party. Even the Shadow Palace of Qinyuan Sword Sect did not know the specific location of Chen Daoxian. Therefore, Chen Dalian decided to stay in this fairy city. This stay is half a year. Chen Dalian stayed here in addition to waiting for Chen Daoxian. There was another consideration, that is, he was afraid that the Zhang family would continue to attack Luoli. Previously, Chen Xianhe tried desperately to protect Luoli, and Chen Dalian would naturally not let Luoli fall into Zhang Taiyuan's hands again. Seeing that Luoli and Chen Dalian had been frowning all the time, Qi Yao said with relief, "Two sisters, don't worry, when the war here is over, I, Qinyuan Jianzong, will definitely give the Chen family an explanation." Hear this. Chen Dalian squeezed a smile on her face, nodded and said, "Thank you, Fairy Qi Yao." Aside, Luoli was about to say something. I saw the space in front of me fluctuated, and then a figure that she had been waiting for a long time appeared in front of her. Chen Lang. Luoli covered her mouth and almost tremblingly shouted out these words. Immediately afterwards, she rushed towards Chen Daoxian and hugged him tightly with both hands. At this moment, Luoli's tears like broken pearls kept falling on her cheeks. "Sorry, I came back late." Chen Daoxian knew that Luoli had endured too much psychological pressure during this time. Because in her opinion, Chen Xianhe was taken away voluntarily by Jiang Taishu because of her. In the eyes of kind people, no matter what problem occurs, they will always find their own reasons for the first time, and attribute the fault to themselves. Luoli is such a person. Young patriarch. When Chen Dalian saw Chen Daoxian, her eyes were flushed with excitement, and her voice became trembling. Then she didn't care about anything else, and rushed up to hug Chen Daoxian. On the side, Fairy Qi Yao looked at the three people who were hugging together with a complicated expression. Half an hour. Chen Daoxian patted the two girls on the shoulders and said, "Let go, there are still people there, heard." Chen Dalian didn't feel anything, but Luoli blushed, and quickly let go of Chen Daoxian. Chen Daoxian then bowed to Qi Yao and said, "Fairy, I want to use the space in the city to teleport for a while." "Okay." Fairy Qi Yao nodded. Chapter 380. Wuxia, Qinyuan Jianzong Zongmen resident. In front of the space teleportation array, one after another silhouettes kept appearing on the giant space teleportation array. A monk who maintains the operation of the teleportation array stood beside the giant teleportation array and said loudly, "Please leave the teleportation formation base quickly, fellow Taoists, and don't block the fellow Taoists behind. Please, fellow Taoists, please leave the teleportation formation quickly, and don't block the fellow Taoists behind." Brush. Suddenly, three figures appeared on the space teleportation formation. It was Chen Daoxian, Chen Dalian and Luoli compared with Chen Daoxian's steady steps. Chen Dalian and Luoli were staggering and their bodies were a little unstable. Chen Dalian stroked his forehead and sighed. "This teleportation formation is convenient, but it is too unfriendly to us low-level monks. Every time I use it, it will be uncomfortable for a long time." Hearing this, Chen Daoxian smiled and said, "Even so, it's still much more convenient than taking an immortal boat." He paused for a while, then looked at Luoli again. "Liar, you and Dao Lian will go back to the Hui clan later in the immortal boat. I'll go to Jiang's house first." Hearing this, Luoli's heart tightened. She stepped forward, grabbed Chen Daoxian's sleeve and said, "Be careful in everything." Chen Daoxian patted her weak shoulder and said warmly, "Don't worry, it's not me who should be careful, but Jiang Taiyuan." "Say it." Chen Daoxian nodded to Chen Dalian, and his figure disappeared instantly. When the figure reappeared, Chen Daoxian had already arrived in front of the mountain protection formation of Qinyuan Jianzong. "Who dares to trespass my Qinyuan sword sect?" Chen Daoxian's reckless move immediately attracted the monks guarding the defensive formation of Qinyuan Jianzong to fly with their swords. "Open the formation." Chen Daoxian snorted coldly and looked sternly at the disciples of Qinyuan sword sect who came to Yujian. Hear this. The face of the leader of the Jindan Zhenren immediately showed an angry look. Since his cultivation, it was the first time he had seen such a tyrannical person in the Qianyuan Jianzong Zongman's residence. You. However, when he saw Chan Daoxuan's face clearly, he was held back before he could say the swearing words. Chen Zhenren. The headed Jindan cultivator immediately lowered his head in fear, and his face no longer had the anger that was just now. The lower-level cultivators immediately after hearing the name Chan Zhenren immediately remembered something, and all bowed their heads and saluted Chan Daoxian. Although Chan Daoxian and Qin Zhan's record of breaking the Qingwei Taoism has not yet spread, but his previous record has long been buzzing in the entire Wuxia. Chan Daoxian first killed the late Yuanying monks alone and recovered Zenangguan, and then he went deep behind the enemy to destroy the enemy's logistics transportation. All kinds of incredible achievements have long made Chan Daoxian famous in Wuxia. Chan Daoxuan's fame this time is not only limited to the circle of Jindan cultivators, but from top to bottom, from nascent soul true monarch to the bottom-tier refining cultivators, all of them have heard of Chan Daoxuan's name. What is the name of moving Wuxia? This is it. It is no exaggeration to say that the current Chen Daoxian is even more famous in Wuxia than Qin Zhan, the master of Zhenhai Palace. This is not to say that Chan Daoxian is definitely stronger than Qin Zhan. As long as Qin Zhan was mainly responsible for suppressing the alien race under the sea of Wuxia, to the outside world, his cultivation and strength were not at a certain level, and he had never heard of Qin Zhan's name. But Chen Daoxian is different. The Izumo War is a national concern in Wuxia. Even mortals who don't care much about monk wars have heard of Wanxinghai's war with Izumo, let alone the circle of monks. In the eyes of the cultivators, the war between Wanxinghai and Izumo is the best way for the loose cultivators to achieve class leap. And in the world of practice, the most numerous ones are just loose cultivation. This led to the fact that anyone who made a name for himself on the battlefield of Izumo Kingdom would become famous in the circle of cultivators of Wanxinghai. This was the case with Ji Suhui, a cultivator of the Ji family who was beheaded by Chan Daoxian before. In terms of strength, although Ji Suhui's strength is at the top level among Jindan cultivators, it is far from the level of an invincible real person, let alone compared to today's Chen Daoxian. But it is such a person who is not ranked among the high-level monks in Wanxinghai, but has a great reputation in Wanxinghai. The main reason is that Ji Suhui's reputation on the battlefield of Izumo is very bluffing. Perhaps in the eyes of the real powerhouse, Ji Suhui's wanton slaughter of the weak is disgusting, but to the bottom cultivators, Ji Suhui's reputation is even louder than that of the ordinary Yuanying Zhenjuan. This shows how exaggerated Chan Daoxuan's current reputation is in Wanxinghai. This is also the reason why Jiang Taiyuan was so flustered when he learned that the Qingwei Taoist sect had lost Taishan Shui. To describe the current Chen Daoxian in one word, that is the general trend. Today's Chan Daoxian and the Chan family behind him are not inferior to any Yuanying family in Wanxinghai. Although the Chan family's family accumulation is slightly weak, with the unique industrial production capacity of the Chan family, these gaps will soon be filled. Most importantly, in terms of high-end combat power, the Chan family is not inferior to any nascent soul family in Wanxinghai, or even stronger. He was really afraid that the other party wouldn't be able to get up in such a breath and died directly in the Jiang family. With what he knew about Chen Daoxian, once Chen Xianhe died in the Jiang family, the two sides would really have to die. Jiang Taiyuan once knew Chen Daoxian in detail, and the more he knew about him, the more Jiang Taiyuan was afraid of this person. If it wasn't for the price offered by the Qingwei Daoist faction, he couldn't refuse, and he knew that the Qingwei Daoist faction also had the trump card of Taishan Shui, and he would never have chosen to stand in line at this moment. Unfortunately, what the world lacks the most is regret medicine. Let's go, it'll take you back to Chen's house. Don't waste your effort. Chan Xianhe shook his head. Do you think that with my current situation, I can survive the exhaustion from Taizhou to Cangzhou? Hearing this, Jiang Taiyuan frowned. Indeed, Chen Ziyan's situation was worse than he imagined. After getting a mouthful of nascent soul essence to continue his life, it is a bit unbelievable that he is still in such a poor state. Jiang Taiyuan could feel that Chen Ziyan's soul was on the verge of collapse. Unless he had the treasure of purifying the soul, he would never be able to save this person. But if he had this kind of treasure in his hand, How could it be his turn to rescue Chen Xianhe? Jiang Taiyuan would have used it long ago to improve his own strength. The Jiang family has been developing in a low-key manner for so many years, and Jiang Taiyuan himself is also very low-key. The outside world has never known that Jiang Taiyuan had already entered the top real monarch level. It's ridiculous that Jinjuan Yuanshan thought that he didn't kill the opponent back then because he was not strong enough. In fact, it was just acting for outsiders to see. Back then, when the Jiang family really wanted to kill Yuanshan, why should the three real emperors of the Jiang family take action? Jiang Taiyuan alone was enough. Jiang Taiyuan looked at Chen Xianhe and thought quietly. Taking the other party to continuously use space teleportation to go to the Chen family in Songzhou is undoubtedly sending a body to the Chen family. Even Chen Daolian and Luoli couldn't bear the damage caused by constant teleportation, not to mention Chen Xianhe, who was only breathing. As for using the spirit boat to send Chen Xianhe back, Jiang Taiyuan was very doubtful whether Chen Xianhe could last until that time. From Taizhou Jiaxianqing to Shuanghu Island in Songzhou Guang'an Prefecture, even if you take the fastest spirit boat, it will take at least 10 days and a half months. But with Chen Xian's physical condition, how could he last another 10 days and a half months? Even if he kept injecting the essence of nascent soul into Chen Xianhe, the other party would be able to support him for 3 days at most. Time. Jiang Taiyuan couldn't help but fall into a dilemma. Thinking of this, he was even more dissatisfied with Jiang Chenye's actions. Chen Xian's health is so poor. Why did he wait until this time to inform him? It is also fortunate that Jiang Chenai did not know what his ancestors thought. Otherwise he would have shouted injustice. Because before, Jiang Taiyuan didn't care about Chen Xian's life or death at all. In his opinion, the Xianqing Dao League has Tai Shunshui, and it is very likely to turn the tables against the wind. The Jiang family's arrest of Chen Xianhe is only the first step. When Yuanshan Daojun was born in the Xianqing Dao League and organized a counterattack, his Jiang family would have to cooperate with each other and greet the opponent. It's just that Jiang Taiyuan didn't expect that the Xianqing Dao League was so unsatisfactory. Not even a treasure like Tai Shunshui. Jiang Taiyuan couldn't help but glared at Jiang Chenai next to him, not knowing whether it was Jiang Chenai or Xianqing Daomeng. He scolded in a low voice, "What a bunch of trash." When Jiang Chenai heard this, he immediately fell to his knees, not daring to argue. Chen Xianhe knew that he was more happy. It is also an ancient anecdote to think that a cultivator in the chi-refining stage could see such an embarrassed posture of a true monarch nascent soul before his death. When Chen Daoxuan's figure reappeared, he had already entered the boundary of Taizhou. From the sect residence of Qinyuan Jianzong to Taizhou, it is millions of miles away. The farthest distance of each teleportation of Chen Daoxian is only more than 2,300 miles. In theory, Chen Daoxian has to perform teleportation more than 1,000 times in a row before he can reach Taizhou from Qinyuan Jianzong Zongmen. Continuously cast the farthest space teleportation more than 1,000 times, even with Chen Daoxuan's cultivation base, it is somewhat unsustainable. It's not that Chen Daoxuan's Dao realm is insufficient. In fact, based on Chen Daoxuan's understanding of the laws of space, not to mention performing teleportation more than 1,000 times, that is, performing 10,000 times, 100,000 times, as long as the mana is sufficient, it is not a big problem for him at all. For Chen Daoxian, the biggest problem is that his body is too weak. Every teleportation is not only a test of his Dao realm, but also a test of his physical body. However, this kind of test is difficult to offset with spirit armor. Although his natal spirit armor can weaken part of the space pressure, more space pressure still acts directly on his body. If you have to make an analogy, it is somewhat similar to thunder tribulation, but it is not as extreme as thunder tribulation, and needs to be completely resisted by oneself. Who? Chen Daoxian looked at the direction of Jiaxianqing, and after adjusting his breath a little, he teleported towards Jiaxianqing again. Is it funny? Jiang Taiyuan looked at Chen Xianhe mocking him wantonly, and his face became a little colder. He was in a bad mood at first, but seeing a chi-refining cultivator in Chen Xianhe at this moment dared to laugh at him, the anger in his heart could no longer be suppressed. Cough, it's funny, of course it's funny. Chen Xianhe grinned. I think that your Jiang family also has today. The old man feels very comfortable. Do you think Chen Daoxian can definitely beat me? Jiang Taiyuan lowered his head and looked at him. Or do you think that Qianyuan Jianzong will destroy my big Zhang family for your little qi-refining cultivator? Chan Xianhe, you think too highly of yourself, and too little of my Zhang family. If that's the case, why are you still afraid? Chan Xianhe sneered. I am afraid? Zhang Taiyuan laughed loudly. Do you think that I am a dignified true monarch Yuanying would be afraid? Do you think that Chan Daoxian can kill me by killing a true monarch of Qingwei Taoism? Zhang Taiyuan shook his head. You don't even know that the true monarch and the true monarch are different. Yes. In Immortal Palace, a familiar voice suddenly sounded, and then a figure appeared in front of the three of them. Daoxian. Chen Daoxian. Chen Daoxian. Chan Daoxian stood beside Chan Xianhe, and with a wave of his hand, he was placed in the small tower in the cave. Immediately, he turned to look at Zhang Taiyuan, and said coldly, Tell me, how do you want to die? Chapter 381. In Asgard, Zhang Taiyuan narrowed his eyes slightly when he saw Chan Daoxian suddenly appear in front of him, and put Chan Xianhe into the Dongtian magic weapon. Friend Chen, long time no see. Zhang Taiyuan didn't seem to hear Chan Daoxian's provocative voice, and there was a smile on his face. He pointed to the seat where Chan Xianhe had just sat, and said with a smile, I just had a happy chat with the old patriarch Chan, and Dao Chan just arrived, which is really a coincidence. Behind Zhang Taiyuan, Jiang Chenai kept his head down. When he heard such shameless words of his ancestor, he had the urge to poke his ears on the spot. Chan Daoxian looked at Zhang Taiyuan expressionlessly, and said with a sneer, listening to Patriarch Jiang, I have to thank your Jiang family for taking care of my 13th uncle during this time? Zhang Taiyuan smiled and waved his hand. Don't dare to take credit, don't dare to take credit. I live with Nima's work. Chen Daoxian exclaimed. Immediately, the spirit armor of life covered his whole body, and then the two laws of water and fire were wrapped around his fist, and a punch slammed towards Zhang Taiyuan. Boom! A loud bang. New Das Asgard was instantly turned into powder with this punch. Standing not far from Zhang Taiyuan and Chan Xianhe, Jiang Chenai was the first to bear the brunt, and was directly vaporized under this terrifying shock wave. A dignified monk in the late period of the Z Mansion did not even block the aftermath of the fight between the two. Inside the extreme night immortal city, countless cultivators were frightened by the explosion of the floating fairy palace in the sky, and then shouted, True Monarch Yuanying! Could it be that True Monarch Yuanying invaded extreme night immortal city? I don't know which True Monarch it is. Could it be True Monarch Yuanchen? He dares to attack Jia Xiancheng, and is not afraid that Zhang Laozu will kill him? The response of the high-level monks was not slow. The moment the floating immortal palace exploded, they all flew towards the outside of the extreme night immortal city. Ordinary monks do not have the qualifications to watch the battle between Yuanying Xinjuan. As for the low-level monks in extreme night immortal city, it's even worse. High-level monks can still fly in the light. Due to the existence of the forbidden air formation in extreme night immortal city, low-level monks can only rely on lightweight spells and other spells to speed up their walking speed. However, given the area of the immortal city of extreme night, if you escape on foot, do you have to run to the year of the monkey and the month of the horse? For a time, the immortal city of extreme night was in chaos. In the sky, two figures flew out from the ruins of the Asgard palace. It was Chan Daoxian and Zhang Taiyuan. Chan Daoxian was wearing a blue spirit armor, which reflected a dazzling brilliance under the sunlight. As for the other side, Zhang Taiyuan abruptly endured a punch from Chan Daoxian's fusion of the two laws of water and fire, which was really uncomfortable, especially Chan Daoxian's punch. Although he put on the spirit armor at a critical moment, the injuries he suffered were not light. Cough, cough, cough. Zhang Taiyuan coughed violently, and black mist continued to escape from his body. Chan Daoxian recognized at a glance that these black mists were the inextinguishable true meaning of the Yuanying true monarch's integration into the flesh. It seems that Zhang Taiyuan has not yet condensed the indestructible real body. Chan Daoxian judged the physical realm of the other party at a glance, otherwise it should not be the black mist escaping from the physical body at this moment, but the indestructible real meaning recondensed. You actually stepped into the level of a top true monarch. Zhang Taiyuan pointed at Chan Daoxian, his eyes full of incredulity. Although he learned that Qin Zhan and Chen Daoxian snatched Taishan Shui from the Qingwei Taoist faction, he did not know the process of snatching. In his eyes, Chen Daoxian only used soy sauce in the past, and the main force to Taishan Shui must be the master of Zhenhai Temple. Thinking about it, I'm afraid things are not as simple as he imagined. But why? Jiang Taiyuan's face was full of inconceivable expressions. He looked at Chen Daoxian and said, puzzled, ahem, why do you go so far as to hide your strength? Seemingly thinking of something, Jiang Taiyuan said to himself, yes, you are also a family cultivator, you must be like me, and you don't trust the current sect master of Qinyuan Sword Sect. Said Jiang Taiyuan showed a smile on his face. Dao Chun, you and I are unlikely to be killed. In the eyes of this old man, the interests of your Chun family and my Jiang family are the same. Is there a big mountain on top of it? While speaking, the injury Jiang Taiyuan had just suffered has healed. Chen Daoxian looked at Jiang Taiyuan, who had returned to normal, and roughly judged the opponent's strength in his heart. This person is stronger than Yu Yugong and weaker than Yunkuan. After the battle of the Qingwei Taoist faction, Chen Daoxian also had a vague estimate of his own strength. According to his estimation, with all his strength should be slightly higher than Yunkan's, but he is generally at the same level. This kind of strength basically belongs to the strongest level under the world realm. Generally speaking, Yuaning Zhenjuan will choose to break through to the world realm after the fusion of the three laws reaches 50%. Those who have a 70% degree of fusion of the three laws, such as Chen Daoxian, belong to the very few. In terms of the Dao law, he should be a lot stronger than Yun Kuan. But in terms of cultivation, he is much lower than Yun Kuan. Although he has the blessing of the 6th grade good fortune White Lotus, it is only a sufficient amount of mana, and the quality is still a lot worse. Coupled with the lack of physical realm, Chen Daoxian's strength is only in the middle of Yun Kun's strength. But who is Yun Kuan? The second powerhouse of the Qingwei Taoist faction, and the top 3 of the Xianqing Taoist League. Chen Daoxian is comparable to such a top powerhouse, and it can be said that he is already at the same level as Qin Zhan before he broke through the world. With his strength, let alone beheading Jiang Taiyuan on the spot, there would be no problem in torturing him. In fact, with Chen Daoxian's strength, it's not impossible to kill Jiang Taiyuan, but the premise is that Jiang Taiyuan doesn't run away. Because Jiang Taiyuan, like Chen Daoxian, is good at the laws of space, and the other party's consciousness is stronger than Chen Daoxian, and the teleport distance is much farther than Chen Daoxian. Seeing that Chen Daoxian didn't speak, Jiang Taiyuan thought that his words had moved the other party, and continued to persuade him. Outsiders say that Qin Zhan is the genius of Qinyuan Sword Sect, but in the eyes of this old man, you have much more potential than him. As long as you join our camp with your potential, you will become the leader of our camp in the future. Your faction? Chen Daoxian sneered. The camp of the third elder Yin? That's right. Jiang Taiyuan nodded and said, but it's not Yin's camp, it's the family's cultivator's camp. Fei Chenxue is doing the opposite, supporting the loose cultivator, disregarding the family cultivator's interests, and letting this woman serve as the sect master of the Qianyuan Sword Sect. My family cultivator will be one in the future. Day is worse than day. You must have seen the war with the Xianqing Dao League this time. Wan Xinghai's scattered cultivation has become a general trend. If the monks of our family do not unite to resist, there will be no place for me to stand in the future. After all, how can the number of cultivators in our family be compared with the large number of loose cultivators? Chen Daoxian could hear that Jiang Taiyuan's words were from the bottom of his heart. However, he remained unmoved. Because what he cares about is not the family cultivator and the loose cultivator. The only thing he has always cared about is the Chen family cultivator. As for other family cultivators, loose cultivators and even the sect disciples of Qianyuan Jianzong, in Chen Daoxian's eyes, there is no difference. Gu Lin, after saying these words, Jiang Taiyuan has been paying attention to Chen Daoxian's complexion, and he found that Chen Daoxian's complexion has not changed. Gradually, Jiang Taiyuan's heart sank completely. Never mind. He sighed. It seems that today, the old man is very hard to stay. In Fei Chengshi's camp, there was already a character like Qin Zhan with incredible strength and potential, and Chen Daoxian's potential was even more terrifying, so their family's cultivator camp simply stopped playing. Just surrender to Fei Chenxue and the others. However, how could Jiang Taiyuan be reconciled? Next moment, I saw Jiang Taiyuan waved his hand. took out a set of array plates from the storage ring, and then threw it into the sky. The array disc spun around and flew to the sky. Immediately afterwards, an upside-down bowl-shaped light curtain enveloped the entire sky. Chen Daoxian looked around. The area covered by the light curtain of this formation was not very large, only covering a diameter of about 100 miles. As for the immortal city of extreme night below, it was specially isolated by Jiang Taiyuan. Come to think of it, the head of the Jiang family didn't want his Jiang family's nest to be destroyed. 7th Order Array Plate. Jiang Taiyuan, you really surprised me. The 7th Order magic weapon should logically be the treasure used by the Heavenly Venerate. Although with the background of the Jiang family, he was not surprised that there were several 6th Order instruments in his hand, but the 7th Order instruments should not appear in the hands of the Jiang family. It can be said that this thing does not even exist in a major sect like the Qingwei Taoist sect. Qianyuan Jianzong owns pure Yang immortal artifacts, which are completely the shadow of their ancestors. In addition, Qianyuan Jianzong does not even have a 7th Order magic weapon. It can be seen that the preciousness of the 7th Order instruments. Although Chen Daoxian has a component of a 7th Order magic tool, the Heavenly Secret Talisman, this is only one of the 7th Order magic tool components of the set. A mere Heavenly Mystery Talisman itself is not a 7th Order magic tool. However, what Jiang Taiyuan took out was a complete 7th Order array. This can't help but make Chen Daoxian wonder, where did the other party's 7th Order magic weapon come from? If it was said that Qingwei Dao sent him to the Jiang family, Chen Daoxian would be the first to not believe it. If the Qingwei Taoist sect really had this treasure, it could still be given to the Jiang family, and it would have been placed on the Tai Immortal Pond. It is foreseeable that if the Qingwei Taoist faction uses the 7th Order formation to block the Tai Immortal Pond, Chen Daoxian and Qin Zhan may not be able to win the Tai Shanshui Fairy Pond. This formation is called Sumerus 9 Palaces Formation. I also invite fellow Taoists to taste it. Jiang Taiyuan said with a smile. As a 6th Order formation mage, although Chen Daoxian could not see the flaws in this formation, he could also faintly perceive that this large formation was constantly absorbing the spiritual energy of the Jiang family's spiritual veins. In other words, Jiang Taiyuan did not need to spend his own mana to activate this great formation. In this way, Jiang Taiyuan will be able to exert the power of this great formation to a greater extent. Sumerus 9 Palaces Formation. In this way, this is still a space-like formation. Chen Daoxian looked at the formation, then looked at Jiang Taiyuan. It's just that I don't understand why Jiang Dao you locked you and me in this formation, because only in this way, I can maximize the power of this formation. Gossip less, suffer. Jiang Taiyuan's expression was cold. An array flag appeared in his hand, and he waved it fiercely. Next moment, countless space-sharp blades slashed towards Chen Daoxian. With Chen Daoxian's attainments in the space law, he recognized at a glance that this is a method only available at the high level of the space law space strangulation. It's just compared to the space strangulation displayed by the monks. The scope and power of the space strangulation in this Sumerus 9 Palaces array seems to have improved by a level, and the frequency is also more terrifying than the space strangulation performed by the Yuanying Xinjuan. Seeing that the sharp space blade of Tumi was continuously slashing on Chen Daoxian's life armor, and his body was beheading and retreating, Jiang Taiyuan laughed wildly. Chen Daoxian, how does the Shumi Jiugong formation feel? Each of these space-sharp blades is close to the attack power of the top true monarch. With so many, I see how long you can last. It's a pity that this Sumerus 9 Palace formation has 9 types of offensive, and now you can only taste this one. Jiang Taiyuan saw that Chen Daoxian supported Sumerus 9 Palaces for so long, and even judged the rank of the other party's life spirit armor. What about the 6th Order high-grade spirit armor? With so many space blades, see how long you can last. Jiang Taiyuan thought to himself. In front of Chen Daoxian, the 3 laws are constantly circling, or turned into shields, or turned into sharp swords, constantly resisting the attack of space-sharp blades. Otherwise, just relying on the spirit armor of life, sooner or later, will be broken by this endless space-sharp blade. While resisting the attack, Chen Daoxian said, "It's not just that I can taste one, but the spiritual veins of your Jiang family can't support this formation?" Hearing this, Jiang Taiyuan's expression froze. "Humph, I see how hard you can be. After all, the attack of the space blade is even more violent. Below, countless auras were drawn to the sky by the formation plate, and a column of spiritual energy was formed between the formation plate in the sky and the underground spiritual veins. Die. Seeing that Chen Daoxian was still struggling to support, Jiang Taiyuan's face flushed. This is the means by which his Jiang family presses the bottom of the box. Apart from him, none of the cultivators of the Jiang family know about it, including the other two Yuanying true monarchs of the Jiang family. The so-called trump card is that when everyone does not know it, it can play its greatest role at a critical moment. If Chen Daoxian knew that the Jiang family had a 7th order array, he would not have rushed directly to the Jiang family's base camp. However, he was not unprepared. The 9 palaces must form a light curtain outside the formation. A late-stage cultivator of the purple mansion in a black robe was staring at the sky with a burning gaze. This person was actually the clone of Chen Daoxian, who stayed in the immortal city of extreme night before rushing into the Jiang family immortal palace. Compared with the main body, the strength of his clone is so big that it is difficult to calculate with reason. But at this moment, this clone is the key to Chen Daoxian's breakthrough. Now the Jiang family stared blankly at Chen Daoxian and Jiang Taiyuan, who were shrouded in a light curtain. The Jiang family only saw that their spiritual veins were constantly being drawn from spiritual energy by an unfamiliar large formation. Jiang Taihao was another nascent soul monk of the Jiang family. On weekdays, there are only Jiang Taiyuan and Jiang Taihao in the Jiang family. The battle between Chen Daoxian and Jiang Taiyuan happened too fast. As soon as Jiang Taihao, who was in retreat, was driven out, he saw the Shumi Jiugong formation shrouding the Jiang family's floating immortal mountain. And he was sure that this formation was not the formation of the Jiang family. Since it is not the formation of the Jiang family, it is the formation arranged by the enemy. Thinking of this, Jiang Taihao looked at the pillar of spiritual energy in the air and thought about it. I saw him flying into the air, and his divine consciousness enveloped the entire immortal city, and he said to all the monks, "Is there a 4th order or higher array mage present?" Chapter 382. This heard the sound transmission in the sea of consciousness. Chen Daoxian's black-robed clone paused, turned his head to look at Jiang Taihao's position, and then thought of something. His facial muscles wriggled, turning into a middle-aged cultivator. Originally, he also wanted to take the risk to use a large formation to block the supply of spiritual energy to the 9 palaces of Sumeru, but now it seems that he can take the risk. The black robe avatar flashed, and in the blink of an eye, it flew to the gathering place of the Jiang family cultivators. At the same time, in Jia many high-level formation wizards who heard Jiang Taihao's divine sense transmission flew over. Now that Jia has been invaded by a powerful enemy, as Taizhou monks, they should fight the enemy together with the Jiang family. It has to be said that although the Jiang family can only cover the sky in Taizhou, their reputation among loose cultivators is not known to be much better than that of the Yi family in Songzhou. Right now, Jiang Taihao only transmits voice to the whole city, and he can get so many high-level array masters to respond, which is evident. Jiang Taihao watched as the rays of light flew towards him, including cultivators from the Jiang family, as well as loose cultivators from the outside world. See, Jiang Taihao, the dignified true monarch Yuanying, actually bowed to everyone and said sincerely, "You masters have helped my Jiang family in times of distress. Jiang will never forget it." Seeing that Jiang Taihao's dignified Yuanying Zhenjuan actually treated all the cultivators with such courtesy, all the cultivators present felt a great honor. Jiang Zhenjuan is serious. Jia Xianqing is the largest immortal city in my Taizhou. How can others be invaded? That is, friend Taoist said, how can I, a monk in Taizhou, be bullied by outside monks, not even a true monarch? Everyone was chattering and criticizing this unfamiliar true monarch, who violated Jia Immortal City. On weekdays when they met true monarch Yuanying, they didn't even dare to breathe, but now they are following behind the Jiang family, but they can follow everyone to accuse a true monarch of Yuanying, which makes everyone feel a kind of true monarch. Such emotion. In the crowd, Chen Daoxian's avatar in black robe quietly watched the scene of indignation in front of him and remained silent. Seeing Jiang Taihao stretch out his hand and press it down, Zhong Xiu's voice gradually softened. Masters, Jiang Taihao looked at everyone and said, "You have all seen it. Now that thief is using a formation to extract the spiritual energy of my Zhang family's spiritual veins to attack my Zhang family leader. Such a rampant behavior, Jia Xianqing can't bear it. Therefore, I implore all the masters to take action together and cast the Great Spirit Sealing Formation to block the supply of spiritual energy from the spiritual veins to the formation. Heard. Everyone looked at each other. After a long while, a fifth-order low-grade array mage stood up. Everyone saw this thin, cyan-colored Taoist robe. And the fifth-order formation mage who was immortal wind and Taoist all gave way and bowed to him one after another. Master Qi. I've seen Master Qi. Master Qi. Amid the warm welcome from everyone, Master Qi flew to Zhang Taihao, bowed his hands and said, Zhang Zhenjuan, I think this formation is of an extremely high rank. I am afraid that an ordinary spirit sealing formation will not be effective. Heard. Zhang Taihao frowned. He just sent a voice transmission to the whole city, and the main purpose was actually to ask for help from a few fifth-order formation mages. The array master surnamed Qi is one of them. Master Qi, isn't there anything you can do with your formation skills? Master Qi shook his head. Difficult. The rank of this formation in the sky is high, at least above the 6th rank. If you want to block the transmission of spiritual energy, you must at least be a 6th rank spirit sealing formation. Not to mention whether the 6th order spirit sealing array can be arranged at the bottom. It is the array plate of the 6th order spirit sealing great array, and there is no such thing as the next. Master Qi said with a wry smile on his face. 6th order sealing spirit formation. Zhang Taihao frowned when he heard the words. His Zhang family did have a 6th order array, but in these arrays there was no 6th order conferred spirit formation. When he was at a loss, Chun Daoxuan's black robe avatar stood up, and saw that he took out the array plate and a set of array flags from the storage ring, and said, Zhang Zhenjuan, fellow practitioners, please take a look. 6th order sealing spirit formation. Let me see, I have never seen a 6th order formation. That's right, it's the 6th order Fengling Great Formation. I've seen this formation in Yuzhou. While everyone was chatting, Zhang Taihao immediately stretched his brows, his face full of surprise. Thank you for this master's help. He glanced at Chun Daoxuan's face and found it a little strange. Dare to ask the master's surname? My surname is Chun. List. Zhang Taihao felt a little strange, but he didn't think about it for a while. Many Wan Xinghai surnamed Chun had gone, not only the Chun family in Songzhou, not to mention that the person in front of him looked like a loose cultivator. Zhang Taijun, it's not easy to arrange a 6th order formation, we can't be too late. Hearing this, Zhang Taihao suddenly woke up and said, what the master said is good. After speaking, he looked at everyone again. I also ask you to help Master Chun arrange this formation together. After the enemy is destroyed, my Zhang family will definitely thank you. When the cultivators heard this, their expressions were as excited as if they had been beaten with blood. Abide by Zhang Zhenjun's decree. I will spare no effort in waiting. Count me in too. After a few words of courtesy, 7 fifth-order formation masters flew out first. Among them, 3 were born in the Zhang family, and 4 were loose cultivators. They all flew towards Chun Daoxuan's black robe clone. The black robe clone was not stingy, and sent the array flag in his hand and the array jade slip with the 6th-order Fengling Great Array to the hands of the 7 fifth-order array mages, saying, I also ask you to help me. Master Qi took the array flag and jade slip that Chun Daoxian handed over, smiled and cupped his hands. Fellow Daoist Chun, it's easy to say. The other 6 array mages also nodded to Chun Daoxuan's black robe clone, and then selected a group of people from among the many 4th-order array mages, and flew towards the main spiritual vein of the Zhang family. When the black robe clone saw this, he also specially selected a group of 4th-order array mages from the Zhang family, and flew in the direction of the main spiritual vein, the floating immortal island, inside the light curtain of the 9 palaces of Sumer. Zhang Taiyuan laughed happily as he watched Chun Daoxian being submerged by the sharp blades of space. Chun Daoxian, you probably wouldn't have thought that such a talented person like you would die in my hands, Zhang Taiyuan? Zhang Taiyuan seemed to be winning, and the original disguise completely disappeared. This seat tells you that the most important thing in the world of cultivating immortals is to be cautious, but you are too sharp and you know the details of your background even if this seat is wrong in estimating your strength. but it does not affect the final beheading of you. How about you? Besides knowing that I am the head of the Jiang family, how much do you know about me? So today you must die." Jiang Taiyuan looked at Chen Daoxian still sticking to the line of defense, and couldn't help being a little anxious, and began to use all kinds of trash talk to attack Chen Daoxian's self-confidence, causing him to make mistakes in defense. You must know that in the face of the pear-like space strangulation attack of the rainstorm, any negligence of Chen Daoxian may cause the entire line of defense to collapse. And only relying on the 6th order spirit armor can't stop so many space strangulation sieges. Perhaps a space blade would do little damage to Chen Daoxian wearing a 6th order spirit armor, but under the cumulative offensive of countless space blades, it would definitely cause fatal damage to him. This is also the horror of the Jiugong formation. Moreover, this is because Jiang Taiyuan's cultivation is not enough, and he can't display more mysteries of the 9 palaces formation. Otherwise, Chen Daoxian will face more than just an attack like a mere spatial blade. Gu Hai, while Chen Daoxian controlled the 3 laws to resist the violent offensive, he turned a deaf ear to Jiang Taiyuan's psychological offensive. Jiang Taiyuan never thought that the whole card he prepared, which no one knew, was the last straw that killed him. Otherwise, with Jiang Taiyuan's strength, even if Chen Daoxian could defeat him, it would be difficult to kill him. Under the countless space strangulation attacks, Chen Daoxian could not dodge at all except to resist. As for teleport evasion, it is completely courting death. At this moment, within the shrouded range of the 9 palaces array, the space is like an extremely wrinkled piece of paper, not to mention the teleportation of space teleportation. It becomes extremely difficult for Chen Daoxian to manipulate the laws of space. Jiang Taiyuan's language attacked Chen Daoxian for a while, and seeing that he was unmoved after sneering, he concentrated on controlling the formation, and stopped verbally harassing the other party. He knew in his heart that with Chen Daoxian's tenacity, he would never be shaken by his few words. The Jiang family masters the spiritual veins. Chen Daoxian's black-robed avatar raised his head, and while looking at the pillar of spiritual energy that shot straight into the sky, he instructed the Jiang family cultivator to set up the flag. It is quite difficult to arrange the 6th order formation, especially if you want to cut off the spiritual energy supply of the 7th order formation such as Shui Jiugong formation. Fortunately, Jiang Taiyuan's array master rank and cultivation base were not high, and he could not exert all the power of the Jiugong array within a few moments, otherwise Chen Daoxian would never be able to cut off the other party's aura supply. But now, a cultivator of the Chen family from the Jiang family flew towards Chen Daoxian excitedly and reporting to Master Chen, all the flags have been set up. Soon, the other 7 5th order array mages also rushed over, and they bowed to Chen Daoxian. "Chen Dao, you fortunately not to be humiliated." "Master Chen, the banner is ready." "Master Chen, my side is fine too." "Dao Yu Chen." Seeing the concerted efforts of many formation masters to finally complete the arrangement of this 6th order conferring spirit formation in less than a stick of incense, Chen Daoxian nodded with satisfaction. "Okay, thank you for your hard work." This time, Jiang Taihao also flew over, and bowed to Chen Daoxian's black-robed avatar. "It's hard work for Master Chen and all the masters. Master Chen, please cut off the supply of spiritual energy quickly." "It is good." The black-robe clone nodded. In the spotlight, the black-robe clone took out the array plate in his hand. This 6th order conferring spirit formation is one of his hands-on exercises after he broke through the 6th order array mage. He did not expect it to be of great use at this time. The black-robe avatar held the formation plate, pinched the spiritual art and shouted, "Fengling Great Formation! Get up!" The words fall. On the Jiang family master's spiritual veins, rays of light burst out from the formation flags everywhere, and then these rays of light joined together, and finally converged on the formation plate in the hands of Chen Daoxian's black robe avatar. At the moment when all the rays of light converged, the aura column of the Jiang family's spiritual vein was instantly cut off. Great, it worked! Seeing this, Jiang Taihao's eyes showed a touch of excitement. He raised his head and looked at the 9 palaces that cut off everything in the sky. He prayed secretly in his heart, hoping that his actions could help the patriarch. Jiang Taihao, as the number 3 figure in the Jiang family, although he didn't know the extent of his own clan head's strength, He knew that his clan brother's strength far surpassed that of an ordinary late nascent soul cultivator. Should be alright, Zhang Taihao said silently. Impossible. Zhang Taiyuan looked at Chen Daoxian, who was strangled in the continuous space, holding a stick of incense. His face was full of disbelief. You must know that during this period of time, the space-sharp edge in the Nine Palaces formation has not been interrupted. Although these space-sharp blades can't reach the level of the top true monarch, they are comparable to the attacks of the late nascent soul monks. In other words, Chen Daoxian actually resisted the time when a group of late nascent soul monks besieged a stick of incense. Zhang Taiyuan could clearly see that Chen Daoxian had to endure at least a dozen space-sharpening attacks at every moment. He could actually block the time when more than a dozen late nascent soul monks were besieging a stick of incense. Zhang Taiyuan's eyes were full of disbelief. How could his mana be so powerful? Is this still a late Jindan cultivator? Die! I want you to die! Zhang Taiyuan was completely mad. He knew that Chen Daoxian must die today, otherwise, the next one to be destroyed must be him and the Zhang family. Oh, want me to die? Chen Daoxian, who had not spoken for a while, said, Zhang Taiyuan, I suggest you take a look below. Childish means. Zhang Taiyuan sneered, unmoved. But soon the light curtain of the Nine Palaces array swayed violently, killing the space blade in front of Chen Daoxian, leaving only 3. What happened? Zhang Taiyuan frowned, and then he couldn't help but look down. But what he saw next almost made Zhang Taiyuan so angry that he died on the spot. Who sealed the main spiritual vein of my Zhang family? Who? Zhang Taiyuan went completely crazy when he looked at the pillar of spiritual energy that was gradually thinning and even disappearing. The Jiugong formation has lost its energy supply for a moment, let alone maintaining the offensive at this moment. The light curtain on the periphery can be kept from dissipating, and the rank of the formation is already high enough. Now, Su Jiugong array not only lost all means of attack, but turned into a cage. Wait, a cage? Zhang Taiyuan just thought of something, so he hurriedly grasped the spirit formula, wanting to revoke the formation. But what greeted him was a golden giant sword. Boom! An attack that was several times more terrifying than the previous destruction of Asgard sent Zhang Taiyuan's tiny figure flying out. And at the position where he was attacked, a small void black hole slowly appeared. Boom! Zhang Taiyuan's body slammed into the light curtain of the Shui Jiugong array, and then was violently bounced off. But Chen Daoxian did not give the other party a chance to breathe. The laws of water and fire were instantly fused under the traction of the Heavenly Gang Sword Array, and the power of the mind. Chen Daoxian has tried it. With his current Dao state, the combination of the 3 laws has the strongest attack power, followed by the 2 laws of water and fire, and then the 2 laws of air and fire. The weakest is air. The 2 laws of water are combined. At this moment, Chen Daoxian displayed his second strongest attack method. The reason why the 3 laws are not integrated is because the 3 laws of air, water and fire cannot be 100% integrated. Due to the existence of repulsive force, there will be a little delay before launching an attack. But obviously, Chen Daoxian did not intend to give Zhang Taiyuan a chance to breathe. Boom! 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 Zhang Taiyuan's figure was nailed to the light curtain of the Shui Jiugong formation. Before his figure was bounced off by the light curtain, another attack came to him. The continuous attacks made Zhang Taiyuan completely bewildered. At the beginning, he could still resist with his 5th rank high-grade spirit armor and his tyrannical physical cultivation, but soon Zhang Taiyuan found that he couldn't hold it anymore. What was even more disappointing was that because the restricted area of the Nine Palaces array was too small, this space was completely disrupted, and Zhang Taiyuan couldn't even teleport to escape. Zhang Taiyuan never expected that his so-called trump card turned out to be the grave he dug for himself. Chapter 383. Boom! 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 The flying sword transformed by the laws of water and fire kept bombarding Zhang Taiyuan's body, pinning him to the light curtain of the formation, unable to move. With Chen Daoxian's non-stop attack, the laws lingering on Zhang Taiyuan's black spirit armor gradually couldn't support it. In the end, the pattern of the law on the spirit armor was dissipated by the direct bombardment of Chen Daoxian's flying sword, leaving the spirit armor completely exposed. Humph! Seeing this scene, Chen Daoxian snorted coldly, And his movements were not slow at all. The three fusion laws of water, fire, air, and fire took turns bombarding Jiang Taiyuan nonstop. In an instant, Jiang Taiyuan's fifth-order spirit armor was completely shattered. In the eyes of ordinary nascent soul true monarchs, the indestructible fifth-order high-grade spirit armor is nothing compared to the top true monarchs whose fusion of the two laws has reached 100%. The slender immortal sword constantly penetrated Jiang Taiyuan's body, forcing the indestructible true meaning of his fleshly body to go out of his body. Only less than a few dozen breaths, Jiang Taiyuan's position became a piece of black mist. All these black mists were the inextinguishable true meaning that escaped from Jiang Taiyuan's body. Just when Jiang Taiyuan thought that he was about to die at this moment, because the Zhougong array had lost the aura support of the Jiang family master's spiritual veins, the array light curtain finally couldn't support it. Seeing the light curtain slowly dissipating, Jiang Taiyuan seemed to grab the last straw and laughed wildly. Haha, Chen Daoxian, you can't kill me. Chen Daoxian, who has been attacking, of course also noticed the situation of the formation light curtain. With a wave of his hand, a scroll of star maps unfolded in an instant, covering thousands of miles around. Immediately afterwards, a terrifying pressure pressed on Jiang Taiyuan's body. Not only that, Chen Daoxian displayed the space cage again, trapping Jiang Taiyuan in the space cage. Xingchen Kendo map. Space cage. Give me the town. Chen Daoxian's eyes flashed with a forcing cold light. Jiang Taiyuan, you must die today. It seemed that he felt the despair of being imprisoned and unable to move, and he seemed to be shocked by Chen Daoxian's terrifying aura. At this moment Jiang Taiyuan was stunned. Just when he was stunned, a golden giant sword slowly took shape in front of Chen Daoxian. Immediately afterwards the golden giant sword cut through the sky, cut through the black mist, and slashed towards Jiang Taiyuan's body. Boom! With a violent explosion, a terrifying shock wave madly dissipated. Even with the suppression of the star's kendo map, the floating immortal island in this area was still twisted into powder. The Jiang family cultivator on the floating immortal island, I don't know how many lives were lost, but the battle between high-level monks is so cruel, and low-level monks are prone to encounter fights with gods and mortals. Fortunately, due to the double suppression of the star kendo map and the space cage, the damage to the space by the golden giant sword was not too great this time. The void black hole appeared for a moment, and it was completely repaired without causing more damage. Below, Jiang Taihao originally saw the formation of the light curtain dissipate, and laughed since the family grew up. He thought that he took action in time and helped his own clan head, but the next scene completely broke him. Damn it, just a little bit. Jiang Taihao deeply felt remorse. Although the formation light curtain only dissipated for a moment, he also clearly saw the scene inside the formation light curtain. Chen Daoxian had already driven his Jiang family head to a desperate situation, and the formation of the light curtain dissipated. It was a desperate situation. Unexpectedly, it was a step too late in the end. Chen Daoxian. Jiang Taihao flickered, soaring straight up, madly rushing straight towards Chen Daoxian. But the next moment, sword light flashed in the sky. Jiang Taihao fell towards the ground at a faster speed, and finally smashed into a huge sky pit in Jiesiancheng. Cough, cough, cough. Jiang Taihao stood up tremblingly from the Tianking, his eyes full of horror. How can you have such strength? You are obviously in the late stage of Jindan. Chen Daoxian slowly lowered his body and hung over the heads of everyone. He first glanced at the monks in Jiesiancheng. When the monks caught Chen Daoxian's eyes, they lowered their heads, and no one dared to look at him. Finally, Chen Daoxian turned his attention to Jiang Taihao. Jiang Taiyuan has already been put to death. Your Jiang family kidnapping my Chen family leader is over. He paused. Of course, if your Jiang family doesn't agree, you can come to Zhangzhou to find me at any time, and I'll be waiting for your Jiang family. Do you understand? Hearing this, Jiang Taihao almost clenched his teeth, but he didn't dare to resist. If Jiang Taihao was only one person, even if he died today, he would still be on the same level as Chen Daoxian. It's just that behind Jiang Taihao there is a huge family like the Jiang family, as well as countless clansmen. He had to swallow this breath. Jiang Taihao took a deep breath and cupped his hands towards Chen Daoxian. Jiang Taiyuan kidnapped the patriarch of the Chen clan privately, but my Zhang family doesn't know about it, so I would like to trouble Chen Junren to kill this clan. At this time, I Wan Xinghai and the Xianqing Dao League are fighting, and I hope that this matter will not affect the unity of the two of you and me." Hearing this, the surprised look on Chen Daoxuan's face disappeared in a flash. This person really can bear it. Immediately, Chen Daoxian said calmly, "In this case, I will not disturb Zhang Dao to deal with the funeral and leave." "Say it." Chen Daoxuan's figure disappeared instantly. Seeing Chen Daoxian leave, the cultivators dared to breathe. Chen Daoxian was hanging above everyone's heads just now, and the pressure on everyone was too great. It is hard to imagine that this is the power possessed by a late Jindan cultivator. See this scene. Many scattered cultivators in Extreme Night Immortal City had other thoughts in their hearts. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that the Zhang family and the Chen family have forged a deadly feud. It's just that the Chen family took into account the overall situation of the war between Wan Xinghai and the Xianqing Taoist League, and did not completely kill the Zhang family. Otherwise, before the war between Wan Xinghai and the Xianqing Dao alliance is completely decided, the interior of Wan Xinghai will be in chaos first. Although Qin Zhan said that the matter of the Zhang family was fully handed over to Chen Daoxian had to sell Qin Yuan Jianzong to a certain amount of face. After all, whether it is his Chen family or himself, it is far from being able to compete with Qin Yuan Jianzong. Watching Chen Daoxian leave, Zhang Taihao put away the respectful look on his face, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. After a long while, he put away the cold light in his eyes, and the rest of the scattered cultivators saw Zhang Taihao's expression was wrong, and they all said goodbye to him, so that they did not dare to mention the rewards that the Zhang family had promised before. Until Chen Daoxuan's black-robed avatar also bid farewell to him, Zhang Taiyuan suddenly said to hold back. "Master Chen, wait." The black-robed clone paused and frowned. "I don't know what else the true monarch has ordered?" Hearing this, Zhang Taihao sighed. "I can see from this seat that Master Chen has done his best for today's matter, and the fall of my clan brother is really bad luck." Canopy Zhang Taihao felt extremely aggrieved when he thought that Zhang Taiyuan had escaped from the light curtain of the formation and was finally beheaded by Chen Daoxian. Otherwise, with his clan brother's accomplishments in the laws of space, even if he can't beat Chen Daoxian, he will have no problem escaping for his life. "If you have something to say, please speak bluntly." "Okay, Master Chen speaks quickly." Zhang Taihao paused. "I want to hire Master Chen to serve as my guest secretary of the Chen family. I wonder what Master Chen thinks?" King Qing. Chen Daoxuan's black robe avatar frowned. "Master Chen, don't be too busy to refuse," Zhang Taihao said, and handed over a jade slip. "This is the condition that my Zhang family set out for Master Chen to serve as a guest secretary, and I also ask Master Chen to take a look." After this battle, the biggest pillar of the Zhang family fell, and the Zhang family suddenly fell into a precarious situation. Zhang Taihao, as one of the only two remaining true monarchs of the nascent soul, had to think about the future of the Zhang family. Fighting recklessly with the Chen family, Zhang Taihao knew in his heart that this was a dead end. There is only Chen Daoxian in the Chen family, and the Zhang family is unstoppable. Although he briefly fought against Chen Daoxian just now, Zhang Taihao could feel that Chen Daoxian might not even be able to use 1/10 of his strength. He had a hunch that if the opponent made a full effort, he would be instantly killed by Chen Daoxian. The gap between the two sides is so huge. Now, the two true monarchs of the Zhang family are only in the middle stage of nascent soul, and the realm of the Great Tao is almost the same. This kind of strength is really mediocre among the Yuanian cultivators, and it is impossible to compete with the top true monarchs like Chen Daoxian. Although Zhang Taihao is not very powerful, his vision is still very precise. He knew that for a long time to come, the Zhang family would live in the shadow of the Chen family. The high-level defensive formation was the greatest strength for the Zhang family cultivator to survive. This battle also made Zhang Taihao see the role of the high-level formation in the battle between the Yuanian monks. Although Zhang Taihao did not pin his hopes on defeating Chen Daoxian with the help of a high-level formation, Zhang Taihao still thought of using the high-level defensive formation to protect himself. As for the candidate for the 6th order defense formation, Zhang Taihao naturally preferred Master Chen, who had just broken the Zhougong formation. The black robe avatar took the jade slip handed over by Zhang Taihao, quickly glanced at it with his divine sense, and said, I can't refuse the reward offered by the Zhang family. Okay, I have Master Chen in my Zhang family, and you will be as stable as Mount Tai. Hearing this, Zhang Taihao was overjoyed. It's not bad for him to invest his money. You must know that the jade slip he just gave was not actually a treatment for Zhang Jiaqing, but the salary that Zhang Taihao himself received in the Zhang family. But for the 5th order or even 6th order array mage in front of him, Zhang Taihao feels that it is very worthwhile. An island thousands of miles away from the immortal city of extreme night. Chen Daoxuan's figure appeared on the island. Not bothering to look at the environment of the island, Chen Daoxian sat cross-legged and immediately took out a small tower with cracks on its surface. This cave artifact obtained from the true immortal origin realm seems to be on the verge of being scrapped. Chen Daoxian couldn't care about this, and with a flash he flew into the small pagoda cave. In the cave, a thin old man was sitting in a thatched hut in the valley. This old man is actually Chen Daoxuan's 13th uncle, Chen Xianhe. Looking at Chen Xianhe, who had few longevity and cloudy eyes, Chen Daoxian stepped forward in 3 or 2 steps, and immediately knelt down in front of the other party, saying with red eyes, Uncle 13, Daoxian is late. Hearing Chen Daoxuan's voice, Chen Xianhe was slightly refreshed, and a smile appeared on his dry face. He patted Chen Daoxuan's hand lightly, and said in a hoarse voice, not too late, I am very relieved to see you before sitting down. Chen Daoxian seemed to think of something, and immediately took out a black orb-shaped Tai Shen Shui from the storage ring, and said happily, Uncle 13 wants to say that he is discouraged. What do you think it is? This is. Chen Xian's cloudy eyes revealed a trace of confusion. This thing is called Tai Shen Shui. It can help cultivators to purify their souls. With this thing, I can help you wash away the rotten spirit of your soul, Uncle 13, and build a foundation successfully. Build a foundation. When Chen Xianhe heard this word when he was sitting down, he undoubtedly felt like a dream. Throughout the ages, how many people have been able to break through the cultivation base and prolong their lifespan before they are about to sit down? Even if there are such monks, there are only a handful of them. Chen Daoxian didn't care about Chen Xian's thoughts, and took out all the foundation building suits of the Chen family cultivator. Uncle 13, this is the foundation establishment pill, this is the qi and blood pill for replenishing qi and blood, and this is the fortune-telling white lotus specially used by my Chen family's qi-refining cultivator to establish the foundation. Chen Xianhe looked at the fortune-telling white lotus in Chen Daoxuan's hand, and couldn't help but gently stroked it. As the head of the Chen family, Chen Xianhe certainly knew that the creation of the white lotus was a treasure that helped countless cultivators of the Chen family build their foundations. Just, can I really build a foundation? Chen Xianhe was a little overjoyed, but also a little frightened. No one is not afraid of death, even Chen Xianhe who is ready. But Chen Xianhe was more afraid of despair than death. Because Chen Xianhe had fallen into despair since he escaped from Zenangwan under the desperate rescue of his clan brothers. After that, the Chen family was precarious, and Chen Xianhe lived in despair almost every day. But unfortunately, he is the head of the Chen family. He couldn't show the slightest despair in front of the clan. He had to endure, carry it, and describe to the clan how bright and hopeful the family's future was. Until Chen Daoxian appeared. The appearance of Chen Daoxian was the first time that Chen Xianhe felt that the Chen family really had hope. After that, Chen Daoxian grew the Chen family step by step, and brought the Chen family to the position of the largest clan in Songzhou. So far, Chen Xianhe feels that he has no regrets in this life. Of course, it cannot be said that there are no regrets. After all, Chen Xianhe is also an immortal cultivator. Since he is a cultivator, it is impossible not to pursue the Tao. It's just that Chen Xianhe dedicated everything to his family in this life, and it was inevitable that he had some regrets at the end of his life. But Chen Daoxian told him at this time that he still had the possibility to build a foundation and seek the way. How can Chen Xianhe not feel panic? He took the treasure of Tai Shen Shui from Chen Daoxuan's hands tremblingly, raised his head and said, Can you really build a foundation? It really can build a foundation. Chen Daoxian smiled and nodded. Good. Chen Xianhe wept with joy, tears streaming down his face. Uncle 13, Daoxian protects the Dharma for you, and also ask Uncle 13 to build a foundation here. Say it. Chan Daoxian took out a large amount of spiritual stones from the storage ring, and with a slight shock of mana, the spiritual stones disintegrated in an instant, and countless spiritual energy rushed out, filling the cave in an instant. If other cultivators saw Chan Daoxian's prodigal behavior, they would probably yell at him. But Chan Daoxian didn't care at all. In order to build a foundation for Chan Xianhe, he even took out the Tai Shen Shui that helped the Yuanying cultivator break through to the Yuanshan stage. What is a little spiritual stone? Chapter 384. Wan Xinghai Qinyuan Jianzong Zongmen. Before the space teleportation formation, Fei Qinxue stood in the middle of Yuanying Xinjuan of Qinyuan sword sect, looking at the space teleportation formation in front of him like the stars arching the moon. At this moment the audience was silent, because at this moment, they want to welcome a heavyweight of Qinyuan Jianzong Linwu Zhengjuan. As the top true monarch who has been stationed at the frontier for hundreds of years, the reputation of Linwu true monarch is even greater than that of the Qinyuan sword sect master in Wan Xinghai. His reputation in the sect was even louder than Qin Zhan, Yi Yin and others. No matter which faction they belong to, as long as they mention true monarch Linwu, they can't help but give a thumbs up, and a heartfelt respect surges up in their hearts. Coming. Concubine Chenxue stood in front of the big formation in full costume. Her beautiful eyes moved slightly, and she said softly. Hearing this, everyone's expressions became more focused. Sure enough, at the next moment, the space teleportation formation suddenly lit up, and a giant space vortex appeared in front of everyone. When the space vortex dissipated, a burly figure first appeared in everyone's sight. Behind this burly figure there are about 300 figures standing. All of these figures have a common feature, that is, they are all dressed in spirit armor, only showing their heads, exuding a chilling aura, and at first glance they are elites in 100 battles. Although there are more disciples of Qianyuan sword sect, but seeing these people, the momentum is suddenly weaker. The group of people behind Jinju and Linwa's cultivation is uneven. There are Qi refining period, Jindan period and nascent soul period. It seems that it should be a group of representatives specially selected by Linwu Zhengjuan from the monks of different cultivation bases. Among these figures, especially the cultivators at the lower Qi refining stage and foundation building stage, when they were saluted by countless disciples of Qianyuan sword sect, they all couldn't help but straighten their chests, and a feeling of excitement and pride rippled in their hearts. Linwu Zhengjuan strode forward, clasped his fists towards concubine Chenxue, and said loudly, I'm a humble Linwu, see the sect master. See sect master. Behind him, a uniform sound resounded through the sky. Concubine Chenxue showed a gentle smile on her beautiful face. She quickly stepped forward, lightly supported true monarch Linwu, and said sincerely, Linwu, you've worked hard. Linwu raised his head and found that not only Fei Chenxue, but also Huyanqi, Yi Yin, and the masters of the various halls were all present to greet him. It can be said that the pomp and courtesy have been achieved to the extreme. True monarch Linwu bowed his hands again and said solemnly, this is what a humble post should do. Fei Chenxue nodded and said nothing. Soon, a feast to welcome Linwu Zhengjuan was held in Qianyuan Jianzong. With the return of Linwu Zhenjuan's class to the sect, it heralds an unprecedented celebration ceremony, which will be held in the Qianyuan Jianzong sect. The banquet to welcome Jinju and Linwu was held for 10 days before it stopped. However, the warm atmosphere in Qianyuan sword sect did not stop. On the contrary, there was an intensifying trend, because everyone knew that this time Qianyuan sword sect won all the territory of Izumo, and they would be rewarded according to their military exploits. Next is the celebration of the division of interests. How can everyone not get excited? At this moment, whether it is the disciples of the Qianyuan sword sect, or the major family forces and the most numerous loose cultivators attached to the Qianyuan sword sect, they all look eager to see. Qianyuan sword sect. Guxing in a large cave. Here, there are many immortal islands floating in the sky. Among them, there is a giant floating immortal island in the center. The huge palace group is looming in the clouds. In one of the fairy palaces, Father, when Linwu Zhengjuan returned to the sect hall masters and elders were all rushing to visit and make friends with each other. Why are you unmoved? A young cultivator with a divine pattern between his eyebrows said eagerly, if Linwu Zhengjuan is also a concubine, The young cultivator saw Yin, who was wearing a purple robe, glanced at him lightly. His aura suddenly dipped, and he said embarrassingly, If Lin Wuzhenjuan was pulled over by the sect master and Qin palace master, then our life would be even worse. Yin lightly fanned the incense burner in front of him, and the faint aroma of the concentrating incense suddenly filled the entire hall, which made people feel refreshed. You don't need to worry about befriending true monarch Linwu. Yin paused, raised his head and looked at Yi Wudao, but there is one person you can go and make friends with, one or two. If you can do this, the status of Fichengsu and I in the sect, even it will flip right away. Who? Chen Daoxian. Yin said lightly. Hearing the name, Yi Wudao was stunned for a moment. Then his face twisted into a ball and his teeth clenched. He said in a loud voice, Father, even if I don't want to be shy and ask others in a low voice, is Chen Daoxian willing to accept us? You know, I offended him in the first place. Yin shook his head. At that moment, now the whole territory of Izumo has been taken by our sect, and Fei Qinxue is even more in the sky, and she has Qin Zhan, a top-notch true monarch with great talent. Whether it is now or in the future, the general trend will be on Fei Chengshu's side. But is a Qinyuan sword sect master with absolute power really what the great immortal clans in Wanxinghai would like to see? Yin looked at Yi Wudao. Don't forget, Chen Daoxian is also a family cultivator, and behind him is the Zhangzhou Chen family, a cultivator family. Hearing Yin's words, Yi Wudao fell silent. Although he was not as talented as Qin Zhan and Chen Daoxian, and was very arrogant, he was not stupid. He knew that what his father Yin said made sense. But how can I meet Chen Daoxian? If I go to Chen's house now, I'm afraid Chen Daoxian will kill me. Yin looked at Yi Wudao, who was strong on the outside and hard at work, and kept sighing in his heart, but said on his mouth, the next celebration ceremony is a good time. And you also have enough reasons to visit each other. After all, Chen Daoxian recovered Zenangguan. He is kind to you and it is right for you to go to thank you. Hearing Yin mentioning the black history that he felt most humiliating, Yi Wudao lowered his head deeply and said, Yes, Dad. Zhangzhou, Twin Lakes Island. An escaping light flew toward Shuanghu Island at a high speed, and the defensive formation light curtain on the island seemed to be useless to this escaping light. Stop the light. Chen Daoxian smiled and said, Uncle 13, how does it feel to fly away after the foundation is established? Chen Xian has succeeded in establishing the foundation, and his face returned to that of a middle-aged man, but his hair was still the same as before, silver white. At this moment Chen Xian's face was full of excitement and he laughed loudly. This flying of the light is really different from the wind fighting technique. If you say that flying in the wind is to climb, then the flying of the light and the sword is to run. There is no comparison. For so many years it was the first time Chen Daoxian saw such a relaxed and happy smile on Uncle 13's face. He also smiled and said, Go, Uncle 13, let's go home. Okay, go home. There was a faint vibrato in Chen Xian's words. Chapter 385. Twin Lakes Island. Today's industrial zone on Shuanghu Island has already been relocated to Guanhai Xianqing on Sequoia Island. In the former Shuanghu Island Industrial Park, a large experimental base has been built, such as the headquarters of Chen Jiading's famous Magical Instrument Research Institute, which is located here. The palace complex built around the Sun and Moon Lakes became the highest power center of the Chen family. Generally speaking, the Chen family's clan association and the promulgation of various policies are all in this palace group. Qiming Hall, the immortal hall where the Chen family held a clan meeting. On this day, the senior cultivators of the Chen family scattered in every corner of Zhangzhou quickly rushed back to the home of the Chen family Shuanghu Island. Before they could take a rest, they hurriedly flew to the Qiming Hall in front of the Sun and Moon Shuanghu. Boom thump thump dash, the melodious bells echoed in the palace complex, and the bells rang 9 times in total. A cultivator of the Chen family's purple house had a solemn expression, and while using his escape, he frowned at his companion beside him. 9 bells ring, I don't know what is so important in the clan? I don't know, the family suddenly called me to wait. Could it be the young patriarch's class teacher back? Hearing this, the Zifu cultivator immediately became excited and said, The clan brother said very well, the young clan chief must be back. Well, as long as the young patriarch comes back, he will definitely give out this bad breath for my Chen family. The cultivator of the Zifu knew what the evil spirit in the mouth of the clan brother beside him was referring to. Chen Xianhe, the head of the Chen family, was kidnapped by the Jiang family in Taizhou. Although the matter was highly kept secret in the Chen family, it was claimed that Chen Xianhe was invited to the Jiang family to discuss the expedition of the Izumo kingdom. But people with discerning eyes know that this is where the Jiang family invited the Chen family patriarch, and it is clearly the old patriarch of the Chen family who was forcibly abducted by the Jiang family. For the past 6 months, the Chen family's prestige among the Zhangzhou cultivators has been greatly reduced because of this. If it wasn't for Chen Daoxian leading the Zhangzhou cultivators to seize the Zhenan Pass and victorious on the front line, the position of the Chen family's Zhangzhou first family would probably have been shaken. Even so, all the cultivators of the Chen family were filled with anger that could not be vented. The captivity of a clan chief is a great shame for any immortal clan, let alone the Chen family in Zhangzhou. But the cultivators of the Chen family knew in their hearts that although the Chen family was known as the largest clan in Zhangzhou, their strength was still far from that of the Jiang family in Taizhou. Not to mention the 3 nascent soul-true monarchs who suppressed the clan movement in the Jiang family, even the low-level and middle-level cultivators, the Chen family were far from being able to compare with each other. In general, the Chen family, a rising star in Zhangzhou, is far from the Jiang family, a top family that has been operating in Taizhou for thousands of years. If the Chen family had Chen Daoxian, a peerless genius, they would not be able to compare with the Jiang family. Even so, Jiang Taiyuan still dared to forcibly invade the Chen family and kidnap the old patriarch of the Chen family, which shows how arrogant and domineering the Jiang family is. Hearing this, the cultivator of the Chen family's purple house had a low tone, and shook his head. Even if the young patriarch comes back, it will not be easy to save the old patriarch. Although the young patriarch was strong, how could he be able to compete with the 3 nascent soul-true monarchs? What's more, the young patriarch was still fighting in the Jiang family, and had to deal with the various formations laid out by the Jiang family. Hearing this, the cultivator ZZ generation beside him also lowered his head. He knew that what the clan brother said was true. Although Chen Daoxian was an omnipotent existence in the eyes of the Chen family cultivator, the time for the Chen family to flourish was too short after all. It can't be compared with the immortal cultivators of the Jiang family, who have been entrenched in the sea of millions for many years. Before Qinyuan Jianzong ruled Wanxinghai, the Jiang family was already the top clan in Wanxinghai. There are even rumors that the Jiang family is a branch of the ancient immortals with a very long tradition in Xianyunzhu. Of course, this rumor has not been confirmed, and no one knows whether the Jiang family deliberately put gold on their face. But even if the Jiang family is not a branch of the ancient immortal clan, only by virtue of the Jiang family's own strength, in Wanxinghai, apart from the Qianyuan sword sect, it is the top family force. In addition, the Jiang family is in the camp of the 3rd elder of Qianyuan sword sect, Yin. Even if the Qianyuan sword sect master wants to move his Jiang family, he has to think about it. As for the young patriarch, the cultivator of the golden core stage, the 2 Zifu cultivators of the Chen family felt a little dejected when they thought of this, and their excitement was no longer the same. With a heavy heart, the 2 of them escaped to the highest center of the Chen family, the Hall of Qiming. Wait until the 2 are near. On the horizon, one after another, escaping light flew towards this place. The 2 Zifu cultivators looked at each other, and without exception the Chen family cultivators in the sky were all above the Zifu period, and all of them were high-level cultivators of the Chen family. Moreover, the expressions on the faces of these senior Chen family cultivators and him were exactly the same, and they all had a calm face, as if others owed him millions of spiritual stones. More than half a year. The cultivator of the Chen family had this stern expression when he was outside. The other cultivators and loose cultivators in Zhangzhou were aware of what happened to the Chen family, but no one dared to touch the Chen family cultivator at this time. Although the strength of the Chen family is not comparable to that of the Jiang family, in Zhangzhou, it is the absolute #1 family. Even the Zhou family of Guang'an Mansion, which was strong before, was far from being comparable to the current Chen family. Not to mention Chen Daoxian, the top powerhouse who suppressed the family movement, thanks to the large amount of vitality essence Chen Daoxian obtained from the true immortal origin realm. The strength of the senior cultivators of the Chen family far surpassed that of the Zhou family. This is also the fundamental reason why the Zhou family is willing to surrender to the Chan family. Otherwise, relying on Chen Daoxian alone, even if the Zhou family submits verbally, it is inevitable that they will do some things that go against the grain. Only the overall strength of the Chan family is strong, and other clan forces and loose cultivators in Songzhou dare not neglect the orders of the Chan family. An hour later, inside the Qiming Hall, a flash of light flew into the hall. Stepping into the hall, when everyone saw the figure beside the patriarch's throne, they could hardly believe their eyes. The family urgently recalled the senior cultivators in the family, and everyone guessed that it was the young patriarch who had returned to the family, so everyone was not surprised to see Chen Daoxian sitting on the throne of the patriarch. But to everyone's surprise, the one sitting in the first position on the lower left of Chen Daoxian was not Chen Daolian, the acting patriarch of the Chen family, but the old patriarch of the Chen family Chen Xianhe. Moreover, compared with Chen Ziyan's old age, they were surprised to find that the old patriarch actually succeeded in building the foundation. How is this going? Isn't the old patriarch kidnapped by the Jiang family? Why is he here? Could it be that the young patriarch rescued the old patriarch from the Jiang family? A Zifu cultivator guessed. Hearing this, someone immediately stood up and refuted. Even so, how could the old patriarch suddenly build a foundation? The purple manor monk was speechless. Indeed, for the Chen family cultivator at this time, the scene in front of him was like a dream. The old patriarch, who has always been missed by everyone, has actually returned. Not only that, but the old patriarch, who was supposed to be nearing his lifespan, actually looked like a middle-aged cultivator at this time. It was obvious that the old patriarch had succeeded in building the foundation. While Chanjia Zongxiu was extremely confused, he also had too many puzzles in his heart. Quiet. Seeing the high-level cultivators of the Chen family in the hall talking endlessly, Chen Daolian, who was sitting on the right hand of Chen Daoxian, rebuked her. Chen Daoxian is not in the clan. Chen Daolian acts as a representative of clan affairs, and has a reputation within the clan. When everyone heard the scolding, they all fell silent. They knew that when the young patriarch called everyone here, he would definitely give everyone a reasonable explanation. On the throne of the patriarch, Chen Daoxian looked at the high-level clan below, and said with a stern expression, "It's only been over a year since I saw each other. Why are you all with your heads down?" Hearing this, everyone looked at each other. Their cheeks flushed, and they all bowed and said, "Young patriarch, I am incompetent. Gufu, okay, the whole story Daolian told me, it's not your fault." Hearing Chen Daoxian's words, instead of feeling relieved, everyone felt more guilty. The dignified number 1 clan in Songzhou was actually kidnapped by the patriarch within the clan. This kind of humiliation, no Chen family cultivator can endure. Chen Daoxian continued, "But you should also take precautions and practice diligently in the future. I don't want the same thing to happen to the Chen family in the future." Yes. The crowd shook hands. After talking about this, Chen Daoxian's face relaxed and he said with a smile, "As you can see, the old patriarch has successfully established the foundation, and the Jiang family patriarch Jiang Taiyuan has also killed me." What? The ancestor of the Jiang family is dead? Chen Daoxian's words made the hall completely fried. You must know that although everyone does not know the strength of Jiang Lao's top true monarchs, the background of the Jiang family's 3 nascent soul true monarchs is well known in Wanxinghai. With such a top-notch family strength, the other's patriarch was killed by Chen Daoxian in the family residence. From this, it can be seen how tyrannical the young patriarch is. Although when Zenangwen was recaptured before, there were rumors that Chen Daoxian beheaded a late Yuanying monk of the Xianqing Dao League. But firstly, everyone did not see with their own eyes how Chen Daoxian fought with the Yuanying Zhenjuan of the Xianqing Dao League. Second, such rumors have always been exaggerated. The cultivator of the Chen family is only as powerful as the young patriarch of his own family, and is comparable to the true monarch Yuanying. But they never imagined that Chen Daoxian could actually kill the Jiang family leader in the Jiang family land. This kind of thing, I am afraid that even the top nascent soul true monarch may not be able to do it, right? Everyone guessed. Chen Daoxian and everyone in the Chen family quietly looked at Chen Xianhe, who was weeping. An indescribable emotion stirred in everyone's chest. The feeling of getting revenge for a great revenge makes Chen Xianhe happy far more than the success of foundation building. Chen Xianhe has been holding back this tone for nearly 80 years. It can be said that he has lived in torment almost every day for more than 80 years, and only at this moment can he truly reconcile with himself. Although Chen Daoxian had never seen the 13 immortal elders who passed away, under the Chen guidance of Chen Xianhe, he also admired these 13 immortal elders in his heart. Chen Daoxian has always felt that as long as the Chen family survives, even without him one day, the Chen family will slowly rise in the world of immortality. And his arrival only shortened the process of this rise quickly. For a while the hall was silent. After an unknown amount of time, Chen Xianhe slowly adjusted his mood. He walked up to Chen Daoxian and stood side by side with him, holding his head in one hand, grabbing Chen Daoxuan's right hand in the other, looking around the crowd and said, "Today the senior members of the clan are all there." Identity announcing one thing. Hearing this, all the cultivators of the Chen family sat up. Chen Xianhe paused. "I, Chen Xianhe, the fifth patriarch of the Chen clan, today pass the family patriarch to Chen Daoxian." Although Chen Xianhe has long since handed over the management of the family to Chen Daoxian with full authority, and he himself has proposed more than once that the position of the family patriarch should be passed on to Chen Daoxian. But Chen Daoxian was afraid that Chen Xianhe would be behind him, and the last concern in his heart would be gone, so he never agreed. But today, Chen Xianhe once again proposed to pass it on to him, and Chen Daoxian really had no reason to refuse. Otherwise, it would be irresponsible to all the cultivators of the Chen family. This moment, all the cultivators held their breaths, and all the Chen family cultivators stared at Chen Daoxian attentively, with a faint light in their eyes. "I, Chen Daoxian, a cultivator of the Chen family's Taoist generation, here today, officially take over as the sixth patriarch of the Chen family. You all learn from the world." Chen Daoxian straightened his body and said solemnly. Hearing this sentence, the cultivators of the Chen family all cried with joy. Without exception, they all knelt down towards Chen Daoxian and shouted, "Meet the patriarch! Meet the patriarch! Meet the patriarch!" The shouts came from outside the palace, tearing the sky apart. At this point, the Chen family has completely entered the Chen Daoxian era. Chapter 386. Twin Lakes Island. A quiet room. On the futon, a figure sat quietly. After pondering for a moment, Chen Daoxian first took out a small tower full of cracks. He looked up and down the small tower and finally determined that this cave artifact was almost on the verge of collapse. This unknown Dongtian artifact was obtained by Chen Daoxian from a Jiang family cultivator in the true immortal origin realm. Speaking of which, the grade of this Dongtian artifact is no longer worthy of Chen Daoxuan's current strength and status. But he had been busy before to recover Zenangwen and capture Tai Shanshui. The instruments on his body, in addition to various instruments used for combat, other auxiliary instruments such as storage rings, alchemy furnaces, and Dongtian instruments, hardly had time to replace them. In addition, Chen Daoxuan's demand for Dongtian magic tools is not too high, and this matter has been delayed. But it has to be said that it is much more convenient to have a magic weapon in the sky and carry relatives when walking outside. Especially when Chen Daoxian is fighting against other top true monarchs, the Dongtian magic weapon can effectively protect relatives. In this way, Chen Daoxian fought against Zhang Laozu before, and it was because of the protection of this small cave in the sky that Chen Xianhe was not affected by the aftermath of the battle. However, after Qin Zhan pushed the Emperor Yubel in it, this Dongtian artifact was severely damaged. In addition, Chen Xianhe built the foundation in his cave, and Chen Daoxian injected a lot of spiritual energy into it regardless of the consequences, which made this cave artifact even worse. So far, this small tower has come to the brink of collapse. Chen Daoxian didn't dare to let anyone into it anymore. Shaking his head, Chen Daoxian put this small tower into the storage ring, and no longer thought about it. As for the Dongtian artifact, he can go to Qianyuan Jianzong's refining hall to buy one, which is not a big problem. Chen Daoxian was more interested in the harvest from Jiang's family than the damaged cave artifact. Chen Daoxian had never imagined that the ancestor of the Jiang family could actually possess a seventh-order magic weapon. And it is not an ordinary 7th-rank low-grade magic weapon, but a 7th-rank middle-grade magic weapon, which makes Chan Daoxian unbelievable. It stands to reason that although the strength of the Jiang family is not weak, it is absolutely impossible to master the treasure of the 7th-order magic weapon. You must know that the instruments used by Yuanshan Daojun are usually only 6th order. The 7th-order magic weapon is the exclusive magic weapon of the Heavenly Venerate Transcendence Tribulation. Chan Daoxian actually has a 7th-order magic weapon, the Heavenly Secret Talisman, but strictly speaking, the Heavenly Secret Talisman is not a complete 7th-order magic weapon. Why does Zhang Taiyuan have a 7th-order magic weapon in his hand? Chan Daoxian raised his head and frowned. Could it be that the Jiang family is really a branch family of which ancient immortal clan in Xianyun continent? He was not afraid because of this. Even if the Jiang family was a branch of an ancient immortal clan in Xianyun continent, after countless years, this so-called ancient immortal clan had never seen him come to find his Jiang family. This kind of thing is not surprising in the circle of the Xiuxian family. For example, a cultivator of the Chun family was stranded abroad, and it was difficult to return to the family. As a result, branches and leaves spread out in the outside world, and after several generations or even dozens of generations of development, a new family was formed. In theory, this new family and the ancestors of the Chun family will not have any involvement. Even the Chen family would not know that there is a branch of the Chen family in the outside world. The situation of the Jiang family is very likely to be like this. Otherwise, it is impossible for this so-called ancient immortal race to not care about the life and death of the Jiang family for so many years. Because the Jiang family is strong, but it has not been smooth sailing all the way in Wanxinghai. Let's not talk about it. Let's say that thousands of years ago, the Qianyuan sword sect unified the Wanxinghai battle, and the Jiang family was in a precarious battle. Speaking of which, the brutality of that war was no less than that of the Azuma War. But even so, the main line behind the Jiang family has no intention of coming forward. It can be seen that the existence of the Jiang family may not be known to this so-called ancient immortal clan at all. There is another possibility. What Chan Daoxian thought. That is the ancestor of Wanxinghai Jiang's family. It is probably because he stole some kind of treasure of this ancient immortal clan, so he did not dare to contact the main line. Immediately, he thought of the 7th-order mid-rank array plate that appeared in Zhang Taiyuan's hands inexplicably, and felt more and more that this guess was justified. Whether my guess is right, you can tell at a glance. Chan Daoxian turned his gaze to the red storage ring in his hand. On the storage ring, a miniature dragon-shaped relief was entwined and circled. This storage ring is the trophy left by Chan Daoxian after beheading Zhang Taiyuan. In the previous battle, if Chan Daoxian had not kept his hand when he cast his last sword, this storage ring would have been wiped out long ago. Take a deep breath. Chan Daoxian used his divine sense to erase the imprint of the divine soul left by Zhang Taiyuan. Although Zhang Taiyuan's spirit is far stronger than Chan Daoxian, fortunately Zhang Taiyuan is dead, and the imprint of his spirit on the storage ring is only rootless duckweed. It only took Chan Daoxian more than a day to wipe out the imprint of the soul on the storage ring. The next day, after erasing the soul imprint on the storage ring, Chan Daoxian couldn't wait to recover his consciousness, so he couldn't wait to invade the storage ring. At first glance, Zhang Lao's storage ring is much wider than the one in Chan Daoxian's hand. Of course, the advantage of a larger storage space is nothing, and with Chan Daoxian's current strength background, he will not superficially value the size of the storage space. Because no matter how many ordinary resources, to him they are nothing more than numbers. And for the precious resources that are useful to true monarch nascent soul, it is impossible that his storage ring cannot fit. Therefore, for a high-level cultivator like Yuaning Zhenjuan, as long as there is enough storage ring, there is no need to blindly seek larger storage space. Chan Daoxian's consciousness swept over the items in Zhang Taiyuan's storage ring one by one. In the storage ring, all kinds of treasures, such as magical instruments, medicinal pills, and spiritual stones, were skipped by Chan Daoxian one by one. Among them, he also found a lot of blood marrow and inextinguishable true meaning in Zhang Taiyuan's storage ring. But he did not find one thing. What about the power of creation? Why is there no power of creation? Chan Daoxian looked surprised. As a top true monarch, although Jiang Taiyuan's strength background cannot be compared with Qin Zhan, but in terms of wealth, Jiang Taiyuan, as the helm of the Jiang family, should not be much poorer than Qin Zhan. Even if Jiang Taiyuan couldn't compare to Qin Zhan in terms of the power of good fortune, he would never be without it. You must know that even an ordinary nascent soul true monarch of the Xianqing Dao League has dozens or even hundreds of drops of the power of good fortune in his hands, but Jiang Taiyuan, the top true monarch, doesn't even have a drop. This really doesn't make sense. Could it be that Chen Daoxian took out the only 7th order mid-grade array disc in Jiang Taiyuan's hand from the storage ring, the Shui Jiugong array? Gu Wu, unless Jiang Taiyuan used all the power of creation to promote magic weapons, such as this. Chen Daoxian looked at the array plate in his hand and the array flags circling around the array plate, and he became more and more certain of his guess. This time Jiang Taiyuan kidnapped Chen Xianhe. In Chen Daoxian's view, there are too many doubts. As a person of Jiang Taiyuan, one should not bet in advance before Qinyuan Jianzong and Xianqing Dao Alliance have not completely decided the winner. This is neither in line with Jiang Taiyuan's character nor in the interests of the Jiang family. Unless the Xianqing Dao League gave some bargaining chips that Jiang Taiyuan could not refuse. Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian thought of his guess just now that the ancestor of the Jiang family might have taken some treasures from the main line of the Jiang family, so he never dared to contact the main line. The treasure of the Jiang family's main vein, the treasure of the Xianqing Dao League. Is there any connection between the two? Chen Daoxian frowned. Immediately, a light flashed in his mind. Heavenly secret talisman. Magical artifact components? Chen Daoxian looked at the array pan magic weapon in his hand. Could it be that Xianqing Dao Alliance gave Jiang Laozu the array flag component of this array pan? However, Jiang Taiyuan's storage ring doesn't have the power of good fortune at all. So what should be the explanation? Chen Daoxian thought for a while, then shook his head again. No, this idea is wrong. It's not a 7th order array disc. Since it wasn't this 7th order magic weapon, what kind of treasure could it be that Jiang Taiyuan would risk his life? Chen Daoxian tapped the array plate in his hand lightly, and began to recall the Jiang family's actions over the years little by little in his mind. Originally, the blood crystals abundant in Taizhou were digested internally by the Jiang family, and only the ones that could not be digested internally would the Jiang family sell it to the outside world. Therefore, blood crystals in Taizhou have always been very precious. But when Chen Daoxian went to the Jiang family's Jia Xianqing for the first time, he found that the result was not as rumored. Although the blood crystals in Taizhou are precious, the Jiang family is selling them out, and the only requirement of the Jiang family is spiritual stones. Immediately, Chen Daoxian remembered that when Zhou Mingho crossed the Jindan Thunder Tribulation, the Jindan real person in Yuanshan Xianqing Mok Zhang Zui, the late Jindan cultivator of the Jiang family, it seemed that the Jiang family was very short of money. The money here is naturally different from ordinary money, and it should also refer to the spirit stone. In this way, the Jiang family seems to be very lacking in spirit stones. However, the Jiang family is a Taizhou hegemonic force, and the resources of the entire Taizhou are left to the Jiang family to ask for. How can they be short of spirit stones? You must know that the function of the spirit stone, in addition to improving the rank of the spirit vein, is only the function of extracting the power of creation. As for the spiritual energy needed for cultivators to cultivate, they generally do not directly absorb the spiritual energy in the spiritual stone. The most precious thing in the spirit stone is not the aura, but the power of creation wrapped in the aura. Although this power of creation is small, it has the special power to turn corruption into magic. This is especially true for Chen Daoxian. With the help of the Star Sword Dao map, Chen Daoxian can even directly improve his Dao Law realm by using the power of creation. Such a perverted function is comparable to the Hongming Enlightenment Classic. Spiritual Stone, Power of Creation, 7th Order Mid-Grade Array Disc Magic Weapon. Gradually, a bold guess emerged in Chen Daoxian's heart. Could it be that the Jiang family has mastered a special method to extract the power of creation from the spirit stone? Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian's heart beat violently. For a long time, the lack of the power of creation has seriously hindered the improvement of Chen Daoxian's strength. Otherwise, he might have stepped into the world now. Chen Daoxian painstakingly searched everywhere in the Xianqing Dao League realm, but only raised the two Dao laws to the high level of the realm of laws. Afterwards, it was he who had the cheek to borrow money from Qin Zhan, which in one fell swoop raised his strength to the level of a top true monarch. Speaking of it now, he still owes Qin Zhan a huge sum of money, 2,300 drops of the power of creation, not as simple as 3 billion spirit stones. In terms of value, 2,300 drops of the power of good fortune cannot be exchanged for 230 billion spiritual stones. Although it only takes 1 million spirit stones to extract a drop of the power of creation, it would take an ordinary nascent soul true monarch to work hard for a year. This value alone is worth hundreds of millions of spirit stones. Moreover, there are very few true monarch nascent soul who would be this coolie for the sake of just a few spirit stones, extracting the power of good fortune for others. The power of creation extracted by the true monarch Yuanying is usually used as an equivalent exchange for high-level monks, except for his own use. As for things like spirit stones, the only use for high-level monks is to serve as a raw material for extracting the power of creation. If the Jiang family really mastered the special method of extracting the power of creation from the spirit stone, the significance of this is too great. The role of the power of creation is far more than just raising the rank of instruments. In fact, it can not only improve the rank of spiritual veins and magical instruments, but also improve the rank of various spiritual roots and spiritual objects of heaven and earth. The difference is only the amount of the power of creation. Generally speaking, the power of good fortune required to improve spiritual roots and other spiritual things is too much, and few people do it. The power of fortune used to enhance spiritual veins and instruments is relatively small. Especially to improve the rank of the spiritual vein, you don't even need to extract the power of good fortune. Just put down the spiritual stone according to a special formation, and the spiritual vein will automatically extract the power of good fortune from the spiritual stone. Now, Chapter 387, Shuanghu Island, Magical Instrument Research Institute. Is this the thing? Chen Daochu looked at the big cauldron in disbelief. Yes, that's it. Chen Daoxian nodded. The big cauldron in front of me is about zhang high and supported by 3 legs. There are 6 exits on the top left of the cauldron. What's even more amazing is that although this big cauldron is a magic weapon, it is only a mere 4th order, so that Chen Daoxian ignored it when he was looking for Jiang Taiyuan's storage ring. Chen Daochu stared blankly at the big cauldron in front of him, and his heart was surging. Patriarch, you mean that with it in the future, our Chen family will continue to gain the power of creation? Heard. Chen Daoxian first nodded, and then shook his head again. It's impossible to talk about the endless stream. Although this cauldron can extract the power of good fortune by itself, compared to the accurate extraction of Yuanying Zhenjuan, this cauldron extracts a drop of good fortune. It takes about 10 million spirit stones. 10 times. 10 times. But that's not much. Chen Daochu spread his hands and said. Although Chen Daochu only had a cultivation base in the Zifu period, he also knew that the preciousness of the power of creation was not in the raw materials such as spirit stones, but in the high-level labor force of Yuanying Zhenjuan. Now with this big cauldron, even if the raw materials cost 10 times more, it will be a big profit for the Chen family. Chen Daoxian owed Qin Zhan 2,300 drops of the power of good fortune, and it would take 2,300 years to extract the power of good fortune by ordinary Yuanying Zhenjuan. I am afraid that a true monarch nascent soul will not be able to extract so much power of creation after exhausting his lifespan. And its raw material is only 3 billion spirit stones. What is this spirit stone compared to exhausting a nascent soul true monarch for a lifetime? Even if this cauldron is used, the raw materials are increased tenfold, and it will only be 23 billion spirit stones. And 23 billion spirit stones are nothing to the Chen family, the first family in Songzhou. Today, the Chen family's Guanhai Xianqing has fully completed the industrialization of weapon refining, alchemy, and talisman making. The 9 major industrial areas of Guanhai Xianqing can produce a large amount of resources such as elixir, magic tools, and charms every day. In the more than a year that Chen Daoxian led the Songzhou monks to recover Zenangguan, the Chen family not only launched a comprehensive cooperation with Yuanshan Xianqing, but also opened up the cooperation between Songzhou and Jinan Xianqing. You must know that although Jinan Xianqing is only a ferry city, it is now a logistics supply ferry city for Qianyuan Jianzong to attack Xianqing Dao League. During the period of war between the two sides, a large amount of materials were transported to the front line via Jinan Xianqing every day. Among the supplies of military supplies, the Chen family's materials accounted for a relatively high proportion. With Chen Daoxuan's prestige in the Jinan army, and the credit he made when he recovered Zenangwan, the Chen family took advantage of this, and naturally no one would object. After all, the other Jindan real people in the Jinan army are not fools, who would rush to offend a peerless genius like Chen Daoxian. What's more, the military resources shipped to the front line are very huge, and the family behind them, the Jindan cultivators alone, can't eat it at all. Then, in the more than a year when Qianyuan Jianzong attacked the Xianqing Taoist League, the Chen family made a lot of money, even more than 10 times more than the income of Chen Daoxian looting the Xianqing Taoist League transportation line. Because Chen Daoxian looted the Xianqing Dao League transport ship, the purpose was not the materials on the spirit boat, but to attack the logistics transportation of the Xianqing Dao League. This is naturally incomparable with the Zhangzhou Merchant Alliance, which continuously transports supplies to the front line. In the Zhangzhou Merchant Alliance, the Chen family's production capacity of elixir, magic tools, and amulets far exceeds the sum of the other families in Zhangzhou, and even more than 10 times the sum of their sums. This is the charm of industrial production. As Chen Daoxuan's strength became stronger and stronger, the terrifying productivity that broke out after the industrialization of the Chen family finally had its place. Unlike before, for fear of being robbed by other forces, with Chen Daoxuan's strength and potential, even Qianyuan Jianzong did not dare to act rashly when facing the Chen family. Chen Daoxian was surrounded by nearly 100 Yuaning true monarchs, and he went in and out from the Qingwei Dao faction. One can imagine how difficult he was. Although the Qianyuan sword sect was stronger than the Qingwei Taoist faction, there were only a large number of nascent soul true monarchs who were stronger in the loose cultivators. The two sides really need to compare the number of top true monarchs, and Qianyuan Jianzong really can't take advantage of the Qingwei Taoist faction. Chen Daoxian was able to get in and out of the Qingwei Dao school. In theory, it was not a big problem to get in and out of the Qianyuan sword sect. How could Qianyuan Jianzong dare to offend such a character? Strength is the most powerful weapon to protect one's own wealth. Chen Daoxian understood this truth when he first set foot in the immortal city of Guang'an Mansion. It's not much to extract a small amount of the power of creation. Chen Daoxuan's words changed, but the power of creation I need will be very much. Immediately. Chen Daochu seemed to think of something, and said with a little excitement, "Patriarch, are you going to break through to the world?" Today's Chen family cultivators have long been different from the past in terms of their understanding of cultivation. Although Chen Daochu's cultivation base and realm are very low, he knows the changes in the cultivation base and realm of monks from low level to high level. Unlike other families, the Chen family clearly does not understand the cultivation bases and realms of various levels, and it also pretentiously knows too much about the mood of the monks, which is not conducive to cultivation. Chen Daoxian never believed in such nonsense. Just knowing the names and characteristics of the monk's different cultivation bases and realms in advance will have an impact on the monk's state of mind, so the monk doesn't need to practice. In such a rotten state of mind, you still practice ass? On the contrary, Chen Daoxian believes that understanding different levels of cultivation and Dao realm in advance will allow the monk to have a clear understanding and positioning of the path he will take in the future. For example, when Chen Daoxian first embarked on the road of sword repair, he was ignorant of this road, so he suffered a big loss. Although he got a little bit of kendo inheritance from Zhou Mubai, but now in his opinion, this kendo inheritance is full of mistakes. Of course, it's not Zhou Mubai's fault. After all, Zhou Mubai's ancestors didn't have any high-level cultivators. Back then, the Zhou family only had 1 or 2 Jindan cultivators, which was hundreds of years ago. Therefore, when Chen Daoxian first realized the sword intent, he took a long detour. This kind of thing does not exist on the disciples of Qianyuan Jianzong. Whether it is Qin Zhan or Qi Yao, the sword intent they comprehend is either space sword intent, time sword intent, or other 5-element sword intent. There is no such thing as branching sword intent at all. For the Chen family back then, if the family could produce a sword cultivator, it was already smoke on the ancestral grave. Who knew that there was a difference between sword intentions? As Chun Daoxuan's strength became stronger and stronger, the Chun family became more and more powerful. Now the cultivators of the Chun Jiafu generation and Zizi generation not only clearly understand the distinction between sword intent, but also know the detailed characteristics and precautions of different cultivation bases in various Dao realms. If any of them are expected to embark on the path of sword cultivation, they will try to comprehend the complete sword intent with the help provided by the family, rather than comprehend the branch sword intent. Gu Yun, of course, it does not mean that with the help of the family, the Chun family cultivator will definitely understand the complete sword intent. No one can guarantee this kind of thing. But it is 1,000 times stronger than Chun Daoxuan's blind man touching the elephant. As far as Chun Daoxian knew, the Qianyuan sword sect had no definite way to ensure that the disciples of the sect could 100% comprehend the complete sword intent. The method adopted by Qianyuan Jianzong is basically similar to the method of the Chun family. They are all through cultivating more sword tactics of the same attribute, accumulating continuously, and increasing the probability of comprehending the complete sword intent. From Chen Daoxuan's point of view, the only power that can guarantee that the monk will understand the complete sword intent is the inheritance he accepted in Wan Xinghai. When he first comprehended the spatial sword intent, he only learned dozens of spatial sword techniques, and then he realized the complete spatial sword intent. The whole process was smooth and there were no surprises. And when Chun Daoxian understood the fire Xing sword intent, he didn't know how many swordsmanships he had practiced, but he was just short of the door. It can be said that if Chun Daoxian hadn't had the plug-in Hongming enlightenment of Taoism, he would definitely have realized the failure of the fire Xing sword intent at that time. When Xinghai inherits this kind of thing, Chun Daoxian can't guarantee that every cultivator of the Chun family can enjoy it for the time being. After all, even if he uses treasures such as enlightenment tea to enter the inheritance space through the back door, the follow-up cultivator lacks comprehension and will be eliminated sooner or later. Of course, this is also a way to increase the number of seed monks in the family. In Wan Xinghai, many large immortal clans rely on this method to let their elite juniors understand the first sword intent. And once this kind of sword intent is understood, it must be a complete sword intent, and there will be no surprises. The Chun family also intends to cultivate the elite descendants of the family in the future. The reason why Chen Daochu said that Chen Daoxian is about to break through the world realm is precisely because of his understanding of the realm of the monk's avenue. The monks practice from low level to high level. From the perspective of cultivation, it can be divided into 7 realms: Qi refining, foundation establishment, Zifu, Jindan, Yuanying, Yuanshan, and transcending tribulation. From the realm of the Tao, it can be divided into 7 realms: intangible, tangible, transforming star, Tao domain, law, world, and creation. Basically, after cultivators reach the nascent soul stage, the realm of the great Tao is at the same level as the cultivation base. Like Qinzhan and Qingwei Taoist sect master Yi Tianqi, Yuan Ying's cultivation base has reached the 6th world realm of the Tao realm. Strictly speaking, they should be called the half-step Yuanshan stage, the so-called Yuanshan Dao Jun. Compared with the Yuanying Zhenjuan, it is mainly reflected in 3 changes, namely the soul, the realm of the avenue, and the physical body. The threshold of the physical body is the simplest. By condensing the indestructible real body, you can have the physical foundation to enter the primordial spirit stage. Compared with the physical body, the Tao realm is much more difficult. True monarch nascent soul needs to break through from the realm of laws to the realm of the world, not only need to comprehend the 3 complete Tao laws, but also need the fusion of the 3 Tao laws to be more than 50%. And this is only the premise for Yuanying Zhenjuan to break through the world realm. It is not known whether he can break through the world realm. Once Yuanying Zhenjuan has reached this stage, it will be Qinzhan and Yi Tianqi. They are the top existences among Yuanying Zhenjuan, and they are also called World Realm Zhenjuan or simply called it by the outside world. Half-step Yuanshan Dao Jun. But the most difficult level to break through to the primordial spirit stage is neither the physical body nor the Tao realm, but the spirit. The transformation of the soul is the most difficult level for a monk in the Yuanying period to step into the Yuanshan period. This is also the reason why the competition between the major sects is so fierce when they face Tianyi Shanshui. Because whether it is Yi Tianqi or Qinzhan, as long as he obtains Tai Shanshui, it is very likely that he will break through to the Yuanshan stage. And such a heaven-defying treasure, Chen Daoxian used it to save his 13th uncle. This is also because the major sects of Xianyun continent do not understand the situation. Otherwise, if they knew, Tai Shen Shui actually used to save a chi refining cultivator, and it is estimated that they would be so angry that they vomited blood. For the sake of a treasure like Tai Shen Shui, how many Yuaning Jinjuan died? Qin Zhan and Chen Daoxian were able to grab it, and they were still convinced. After all, Qin Zhan's last blow that spurred Yu Huangzhong to explode completely stunned everyone. Treasures can be obtained by the strong, which is also the default unspoken rule of the Xiaoxian world. But this treasure was neither used by Chen Daoxian nor Qin Zhan, but was given to a chi refining cultivator. If other nascent-souled true monarchs knew about this, how could they accept it? Chen Daochu said in his mouth. Chen Daoxian is about to break through to the world realm, which is based on his own understanding of the world realm. It sounds very nonsense that a cultivator of the Zifu period understands the details of the world, but in the Chen family, this is nothing at all. The cultivators of the Chen family may not be high in cultivation and Dao realm, but their theories are not low, otherwise they will not be able to graduate in clanology. The Chen family's clan education was not started in vain. As the Chen family system became more and more perfect, those who did not receive complete clan education in the early years also all returned to clan for re-education. In this regard, Chen Daoxian agrees very much. The family education of the Chen family is the greatest benefit to the children of the family. At that time, the Chen family was weak and had to squeeze the earliest monks of the Chen family. Now that the Chen family is rich, of course, these benefits should be doubled to the Chen family cultivators in the early years. Chen Daochu is also one of them. Although Chen Daochu's accomplishments in refining weapons are extraordinary, his theoretical level in cultivation is really limited. Therefore, before leaving the family, Chen Daoxian forced the other party to return to clan studies for a year. Now it seems that Chen Daochu's theoretical level has improved a lot, and he actually knows the knowledge of the world. Seeing the faint smile on Chen Daoxuan's face, Chen Daochu blushed immediately and said, "Patriarch, don't think that I am only at the first level of the Dao realm, but my theoretical test when I graduated from the clan school was full." "Oh, then tell me, why does the world need a lot of power of creation?" Hear this question. Chen Daochu was suddenly full of confidence and raised his head. The so-called world realm means that a true monarch monk opens up a small world. The biggest difference between this small world and our common cave world is that it has to be endless. Chen Daochu paused, and the small world just opened up is not only small in size, but also in a state of chaos. For a true monarch who has initially stepped into the world, the first thing he has to do is to repeat the geomantic fire, and let the world gradually give birth to life. After the small world gives birth to life, it is time for the power of creation to play its role. All right, Chen Daoxian waved his hand. You say it all the way, why is the Dao realm in the first realm? Chen Daochu touched the back of his head. "Patriarch, you know me well, I'm stupid in talent, and my speed is slow in my practice. In addition, I have a bunch of things at the Institute of Magical Instruments in my hand, so I naturally spend more time practicing on weekdays. Less so." Hearing this, Chen Daoxian said solemnly, "At the beginning of the Dao, the way to practice is to persevere. I will let you take charge of the family's Magic Weapon Research Institute, but you must not waste your practice because of this, you know? Otherwise, I can only shove you down from the position of Dean of the Magical Instrument Research Institute." Hearing this, Chen Daochu shrank his neck and whispered, "Got it, Patriarch. Okay. Let's try this cauldron." Chen Daochu was not a child, but an old man of the same generation as him, and Chen Daoxian just stopped there. Chapter 388. Claplael above the cauldron. The spiritual stones in the storage bag poured down into the cauldron like a flood that burst a dike. As the spirit stones poured out, Chen Daoxian took the initiative to inject a mana into the ding. Under the urging of mana, the spirit stones in the cauldron quickly melted like ice and snow under the sun. But the strange thing is that after the ablation of the spirit stone, no aura escapes, and all the aura is trapped in the big cauldron. Aside, Chen Daochu stared at the cauldron with bright eyes, and said excitedly, "Who came up with this method?" using the spiritual energy that should have preserved the power of good fortune as the driving force, to extract that trace of the power of good fortune in the condensed spirit stone. Saying that, he looked at the six-mouthed jade bottle below the 6 ears of Ding Ding. There are also these jade bottles which seem to have nothing to do with this cauldron, but together with it form a cycle, extracting the condensed power of good fortune from the cauldron, and then recollecting it. Like. The role of the array plate and array flag. Yes, it is the role of the formation plate and formation flag. Chan Daochu slapped his fists and his brows stretched. The person who made this magic weapon must be a genius weapon refiner. Although Chan Daochu's cultivation base is not high, as the head of the Chun Family Magical Instrument Research Institute, his vision is still very high. In particular, the Chun family's Magical Instrument Research Institute has the full support of Chan Daoxian. Compared with other cultivators of the Chun family, the researchers of the Magical Instrument Research Institute are the easiest to get the help of Chun Daoxuan's preaching. Influenced by Chun Daoxuan's frequent sermons, the Chun family's Institute of Magical Instruments lived up to expectations, laying a good technical foundation for the Chun family's various industrial production. Otherwise, the industrial production of Guanhai Xiancheng would never be so easy to build. After activating the cauldron, Chan Daoxian simply put away his hand, leaving only the spirit stone in the storage bag, still pouring the spirit stone into the cauldron. According to Chen Daoxuan's previous understanding of this cauldron, it would take about 10 million spirit stones to extract a drop of the power of creation. This tripod has 6 exits, and it can extract 6 drops of the power of creation at one time, which requires a total of 60 million spirit stones. 60 million spirit stones are nothing but a drizzle to the Chun family. Chan Daoxian and Chan Daochu are more concerned about how fast this cauldron can refine the power of creation. Since it was the first time refining, Chan Daoxian was not sure. The only thing he is sure of is that the speed at which this cauldron can refine the power of good fortune is much faster than the speed at which true monarch Yuanying can refine the power of good fortune. On the one hand, the consumption of this cauldron is even greater, 10 times higher than that of Yuanying Xinjuan. The most important thing is that the Jiang family can be promoted to a 7th-order middle-grade magic weapon, which proves that the Jiang family has extracted a considerable amount of fortune from this cauldron. Moreover, this cauldron was not complete before, and the Jiang family had already refined a lot of the power of good fortune. It can be seen that the speed at which this cauldron refined the power of good fortune was astonishing. 6 full days. Chan Daoxian and Chan Daochu both remained motionless and stood in front of dating. The storage bags above the cauldron were replaced one after another. Within 6 days, a total of 60 million spirit stones were put into the cauldron, but all that remained was melted away. At the same time, in exchange, the 6 exits of the big cauldron exude the power of creation of ying white light. Drop! 6 drops of the power of good fortune dropped into the jade bottle directly below at the same time. Chan Daoxian stepped forward and looked down at the chalcedony-like power of creation at the bottom of the jade bottle, his face full of joy. Patriarch, this cauldron is really a treasure, and 1 drop of the power of good fortune can be extracted in 1 day. With this cauldron, it is equivalent to having more than 300 nascent soul true monarchs refining the good fortune for my Chan family day and night. Power! Chan Daochu said with a look of excitement. In his opinion, the power of good fortune is really too powerful, and the power of good fortune can all be used to promote magic weapons, spiritual armor, and spiritual roots. When Chen Daoxian stepped into the world and opened up a small world, it would also consume a lot of the power of creation. In fact, in the real world of immortality, there is no one who is a lone cultivator. The main reason is that there are too few ways for loose cultivators to obtain resources. When the cultivation base is low, you only need to worry about common resources such as spirit stones, medicinal pills, and magic weapons. If there is any loose cultivator who has a chance against the sky and enters the nascent soul stage step by step, he must also need precious resources such as the power of good fortune. As for the precious resource of the power of creation, there is no major force behind it to rely on. How many loose cultivators can obtain it in large quantities? Even if an existence like Chan Daoxian, which is equivalent to a top true monarch, uses the convenience of war to rob everywhere, he can only get a few hundred drops of the power of good fortune. And Qin Zhan just waved his hand and lent him more than 2,000 drops of the power of creation. Looking at it this way, there is a big force behind it and there is no big force behind it, and the judgment is made. Speaking of which, Chen Daoxian was not a loose cultivator, and at least he had the Chen family, the #1 clan in Songzhou, to rely on. If Chen Daoxian really wanted the power of creation and exchange spirit stones at all costs, it would definitely be 100 times easier than the true monarch of loose cultivation. And how hard the sanctuary true monarch is, you can see how many Yuaning true monarchs who worked hard for the Qianyuan sword sect. In Wanxinghai, there are nearly 500 Yuaning true monarchs who were born in loose cultivators, but almost all of them worked hard for the Qianyuan sword sect on the front line. Looking at the major Yuaning families, how many Yuaning true monarchs fought to the death for the Qianyuan sword sect on the front line of Izumo? Why? It's not that the major nascent soul clans in Wanxinghai are rich and powerful, and even if the ordinary children of the clan participate in the war, they are the backbone of these families, and they don't dare to go to the front line to take risks. After all, to go to the front line of Izumo Kingdom, you need to fight with monks of the same rank. Even if the true monarchs of the major nascent soul clans are highly cultivated, it is difficult to guarantee that they will not fall. In the battle between Qianyuan Jianzong and Xianqing Daomeng, the Yuaning Zhenjuan on both sides suffered heavy losses. Don't look at Chen Daoxuan's crushing beheading of Yuaning Zhenjuan all the way. That's because his strength is too strong. Changed to Wanxinghai's sanctuary true monarch, the situation would be very different. Wanxinghai's scattered cultivation real monarchs are not as good as the real monarchs of the Xianqing Dao League, plus the gaps in the realm of the avenues and the magic tools. It often takes several true cultivators to compete against a Yuaning cultivator of the Xianqing Dao League. Even so, there were nearly 500 true cultivators who could not stand Wanxinghai's scattered cultivation. So many nascent soul true monarchs were indeed a decisive force that could change the situation on the battlefield. This battle, as Qianyuan Jianzong expected, completely eliminated the forces of the Xianqing Dao League from Izumo. However, after the power of Xianqing Dao League was cleared out of Izumo, Qianyuan sword sect did not press on step by step, and moved towards the local sphere of influence of Qianyuan sword sect. It's not that Qianyuan Jianzong is afraid, but considering that the complete capture of the Xianqing Dao League will inevitably trigger a series of bad chain reactions. For example, all the major sects near the Xianqing Dao League are in danger, and form an alliance to fight against the Qianyuan sword sect. This is not the situation Qianyuan Jianzong wants to see. Gu Jian after this battle, coupled with the destruction of Chen Daoxian and Qin Zhan in the Qingwei Taoist faction, the backbone of the Xianqing Taoist League was broken by the Qianyuan sword sect. If there is no accident, the future Xianqing Dao League will no longer be able to compete with Qianyuan Jianzong. At this point, instead of being aggressive and forcing the major sects to unite, Qianyuan Jianzong might as well let the Xianqing Dao League go temporarily. At this time, the weak Xianqing Dao alliance has occupied a vast and fertile territory, which is bound to attract the covetousness of the surrounding sections. At that time, the major sects will swarm up and completely divide the Xianqing Dao League. What Qianyuan sword sect is waiting for is this opportunity. Chen Daoxian guessed what the other party was thinking when he learned that Chen Shui, the concubine of the Qianyuan sword sect, had left the border of the Cloud Country. Since he could guess Fei Chengshi's thoughts, there is no reason why the major sects around the Xianqing Dao League couldn't guess the plan of Qianyuan sword sect. But the great thing about Fei Chenxue was that even if the major sects guessed the thoughts of Qianyuan sword sect, it would be of no use. In the face of the Xianqing Dao League, which is so weak and occupies a huge territory, which sect can resist and take a bite? Even if someone with a long-term vision can see the plan of Fei Chenxue, but under the selfishness of human nature, who can give up the interests of their mouths? As long as one party is unruly, the alliance of the major sects will be categorically unsuccessful. This is Yang conspiracy. Compared to Chen Daoxian's excitement, the excitement on Chen Daoxuan's face was not inferior at all, because Chen Daoxian knew that the effect of the power of creation on him was almost comparable to that of Jie Yuanzhu. Thinking of this, he turned to look at Chen Daoxu and asked, "Daoxu, before I go to Izumo, I will explain to you what you have done. How are you doing?" Heard. Chen Daoxu was stunned for a moment, then remembered something and said, "Patriarch, do you mean to buy Jie Yuanzhu from Qianyuan Jianzong?" Chen Daoxian nodded. Chen Daoxian's face immediately collapsed and he complained, "Qianyuan Jianzong's item refining hall is too stingy. As far as I know, Qianyuan Jianzong has hoarded a lot of Jiayuanju, but it is reluctant to sell it to the outside world. The people at the refining hall told me that they do not sell Jiayuanju to the outside world. They only sell Dongtian artifacts. In the end, I was the one who rubbed the hard bubbles, and finally bought some Jian beads at a high price in the other party's hands. With that said, Chen Daochu took out a storage ring from his arms and handed it over. For more than a year, all the Jian beads I bought from the refining hall are here. Chen Daoxian took the storage ring and said, "Thank you for your hard work. The Qianyuan Jianzong's item refining hall does not sell Jiayuanju to the outside world, because we are worried that our Chen family will also refine the Dongtian artifact and the market for the other party's Dongtian artifact." Hearing this, Chen Daochu sneered. Dongtian magic tools are at least fourth-order magic tools, and our Chen family does not have this ability for the time being. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian smiled and said, "You also said that it is temporary. Our Chen family cooperated with Yuanshan Xianqing to sell medium and low-level magic tools in Wanxinghai. The people in the Qianyuan Sword Sect refining hall are not fools. Since we can do the business of middle and low-level magic tools, there is no reason why we can't get involved in the high-level magic tool business in the future." But didn't you say, Patriarch, that my Chen family would not be allowed to set foot in the high-end magic weapon market for the time being? Chen Daoxian looked at him angrily and said, "Have you never heard of what it means to be here and there? At that time, the strength of my Chen family was weak. Whether it was high-end combat power or family background, how could I ensure that I would not be secretly retaliated by other forces after entering the fourth order or higher magic weapon and medicine pill market?" Hearing this, Chen Daochu suddenly woke up. Yes, the Chen family is different today. Even the aggressive Zhang family was beheaded by Chen Daoxian as the head of the family in Jie Xiancheng, but they didn't even dare to let go. Not to mention the other nascent soul families. If you have to make a simple ranking of the forces of Wanxinghai, there is no doubt that the first place is Qianyuan Jianzong, but Qianyuan Jianzong itself is a combination of interests, and its interior is not united. For example, the factions of Fei Chunxue and the third elder Yiyin clashed with each other, and the neutral forces such as Huyanqi did not help each other. In Wanxinghai, unless there is a force that offends all the forces of Qianyuan Jianzong at the same time, this will cause Qianyuan Jianzong to agree to the outside world and completely destroy it. In addition to Qianyuan Jianzong, in today's Wanxinghai, the forces of the major Yuanying families are the most powerful, such as the Zhang family, the Ji family, and the Chen family who occupy a state. That's right, the Chen family's heritage may be lacking compared to the Zhang family and Ji family's old nascent soul family, but in terms of combat power, especially high-end combat power, they can crush the opponent. Otherwise, there would not be a situation where Chen Daoxian beheaded the other's patriarch alone in the Zhang family, but no one in the Zhang family dared to stand up to resist. In the world of immortality, the weak can only accept the bullying of the strong. This is the case among the sects, among the immortal families, and even among the monks. Chen Daoxuan's strength is stronger than the Zhang family's 3 nascent soul true sovereigns combined, so he can act recklessly, especially since Chen Daoxuan's killing of Zhang Taiyuan this time occupies a moral high point, and no one can fault him at all. Seeing Chen Daochu's thoughtful look, Chen Daoxian patted the other party's shoulder and said with a smile, "Forget it, you don't have to think about these things, Dao Lian will handle these problems. You just don't let your own cultivation base fall. And take good care of the Magical Instrument Research Institute." Hearing this, Chen Daochu was rather embarrassed. He has been in charge of the Magical Instrument Research Institute for a long time, and his ability to deal with the outside world is indeed much worse than that of other cultivators of the Chen family who have been trained outside, let alone compared with Chen Daolian, who has long been in charge of the Chen family. However, Chen Daoxuan's training direction for each senior member of the Chen family was originally different. Like Chen Daochu, he trained him according to the direction of researchers. What Chen Daoxian wanted was Chen Daochu's purity in the field of magic weapon research. Because Chen Daoxian knew in his heart that only with a pure mind can he go a long way in refining weapons. Farewell to Chen Daochu. Chen Daoxian quickly returned to his secluded room with De Ding. This time, he will use the Dao-derived function of the Hongming Enlightenment Classic, again to see if he can reproduce the refining method of the cauldron. Back in the true immortal origin realm, He used the Dao extension function to reproduce the scene of a giant axe beheading the true immortal realm demon thousands of years ago. Now, he can completely use this big cauldron in his hand to reproduce the picture of the predecessors refining this big cauldron. Certainly, as a new function of the Hongming Enlightenment Classic breaking through to the third level, the way of evolution is also a very large consumption of understanding stars. At the beginning, Chen Daoxian only reproduced the brief scene of the giant axe swinging the axe to split the true immortal origin realm, which consumed a lot of comprehension stars. And the time it takes to refine a fourth-order magic weapon is not known to be longer than the time it takes for a giant axe to swing an axe to open the sky. Therefore, it needs to consume a lot more comprehension stardust. And in Chen Daoxuan's Sea of Consciousness at this time, except for a star core revolving around the golden scriptures, there is no comprehension stardust. Although he can still accumulate a stardust of comprehension every day, but people who are used to eating big fish and meat, how can they go back to the days when they used to eat bran and veggies? Chen Daoxuan's accumulation of comprehension stardust now does not rely on reciting the Hongming Enlightenment Classic every day to accumulate, but relying on the chaotic energy in the Jiyuanzu. Thinking of this, he quickly took out the storage ring he got from Chan Daochu and opened it. Chapter 389. 317, which is really few, and Chen Daoxuan's spiritual sense swept over the storage ring and raised his head. All are the Jie Yuanzhu left over after the death of the base building stage demon. Seeing this, Chen Daoxian couldn't help feeling speechless for the stinginess of Qinyuan Jianzong's refining hall. But speechless is speechless, something is better than nothing. There is only one star core left in the sea of knowledge revolving around the golden scriptures, and Chen Daoxian has no sense of security in the state where he has no comprehension and stardust. Think about this. Chen Daoxian immediately absorbed the chaotic energy in the more than 300 Jiyuan beads. The air of chaos was transformed by the golden scriptures, and quickly transformed into stardust of understanding, which was automatically absorbed by the star cores revolving around the golden scriptures. Soon the naked star core became full again. Feeling the comprehension of the stars growing little by little, a heartfelt sense of satisfaction welled up in Chen Daoxuan's heart. If one standard unit is the amount of comprehension stardust consumed by 100 times of comprehension in one day, there are about 3 standard units of comprehension stardust in Chen Daoxuan's Sea of Consciousness at this moment. But if it is used to spread the Tao, Chen Daoxian can't guarantee how long it will last. Because of this function, Chen Daoxian has only used it once so far, that is, he used it in the real immortal source realm, analyzing a mysterious axe-wielding powerhouse who did not know how many thousands of years ago, and splitting the real immortal source realm with one blow screen. This picture, so far, is still stored in the depths of Chen Daoxuan's Sea of Consciousness. From Chen Daoxuan's point of view, the axe of this giant axe is extremely mysterious, far from what he can understand now. However, he had created his own sword art before, but he benefited a lot from this move. It's just that the sword technique he created at the beginning was too far apart from the 3 laws of formation combined with the power of the mind, and Chen Daoxian didn't use this sword technique much anymore. But he didn't think that the path of creating his own sword art was wrong. On the contrary, he felt that it was an opportunistic behavior to use the formation method to forcibly integrate the laws. Such forcible fusion of the laws is indeed extraordinary, but his own understanding of the fusion of laws is not thorough, or even half understood. If it goes on like this, there may not be any problem in a short time, but the further back, the more difficult it will be for him to move forward. Of course, all of this is not what Chen Daoxian has considered for the time being. All he wants now is to do everything possible to improve his own strength. Because Chen Daoxian had a sense of crisis from beginning to end. Don't look at the Qinyuan sword sect taking the whole territory of Izumo, but it is still unknown whether the Xianqing Dao League and the surrounding major sects will unite. Even if all this is as Fei Chunxue expected, the other party will not unite together. Chen Daoxian also has another concern, that is, Qinyuan Jianzong exposed the existence of Emperor Yuzhong this time. You know, the Emperor Yu Bell is a pure yang fairy weapon. This fairy artifact is different from Chen Daoxuan's Star Sword Dao Map and Qin Zhan's 6 Paths Reincarnation Banner. It is a perfect state artifact. If this immortal artifact was leaked by the Xianqing Dao League or the 3 major sects present at the time, It would be a disaster for Qianyuan Jianzong. At that time, not only Yuanshan Daojun, I am afraid that even Du Jie Tianzuan may come to Qianyuan Jianzong to win the treasure. Although these Yuanshan Daojun and Du Jie Tianzuan will not invade Wangxinghai with great fanfare, but privately, like Chan Daoxian and Qin Zhan, raiding Qianyuan Jianzong is always inevitable. Yuanshan Daojun even robbed Tianzuan of the immortal artifact. What kind of conflict would break out? Chan Daoxian could not imagine. But it must be 100 times more intense than he and Qin Zhan attacking the Qingwei Daoist faction. At that time, as the top force of Wanxinghai, will the Chun family be able to be alone? He couldn't guarantee it. Only by strength and only by constantly improving his strength can Chen Daoxian keep the Chun family and the relatives and friends he cherishes. This is also the reason why Chen Daoxian saw the drawbacks of using the power of the formation to forcibly integrate the law, but still did not correct it. Let go of the thoughts in your head. Chen Daoxian took out the big tripod from the storage ring again and used the derivation function on it. This moment, time seems to be going backwards fast. Around Chen Daoxian, pictures flickered rapidly, and after some time the picture in front of Chen Daoxian was finally frozen. This is a world full of spirit. A monk with his back turned to him, wearing a lavender robe, was sitting cross-legged in a mountain stream. Suddenly, the purple-robed monk stood up and glanced back. When Chen Daoxian met his eyes, he only felt that the sea of consciousness was reversed for a while. With just a glance of time, Chen Daoxian's sea of consciousness was almost torn apart by the other party. Fear. Horrible. Chen Daoxian's heart couldn't help shaking violently. What a fairy. Absolutely fairy. Chen Daoxian held his breath. Fortunately, the golden scriptures were as powerful as ever. His peep from the ants on the other side of the long river in the future was not discovered by this true immortal. Moreover, the golden scriptures also stabilized his chaotic sea of consciousness. This time Chen Daoxian finally calmed down. Although he couldn't tell the strength of the true immortal powerhouse, he somehow got a sense from the golden scriptures. The strength of this purple-robed true fairy is even more terrifying than that of the giant axe powerhouse. Could it be that he created the cauldron that extracted the power of creation? The screen continues. The purple-robed monk waved his hand gently, and a space crack appeared in front of him. Different from Chen Daoxian tearing the space, after the purple-robed cultivator tore the space crack, there was a dark void on the opposite side. This is where Chen Daoxian was stunned. A bold guess suddenly appeared in Chen Daoxian's mind. This is not Fengyun realm. Could it be that this is the world opened up by this true immortal? Emperor Yu and Emperor Shi have all left. I have been in the Phoenix world for thousands of years. It's time to leave. Zipeo Zhenxian muttered. After all, 7 monks suddenly appeared in front of him. The aura of these 7 monks was amazing, and what was even more terrifying was that Chen Daoxian could not see the cultivation of these 7 people at all. You must know that he can have a Dao realm close to the world realm. Even if Yuanshan Daojun is in front of him, Chen Daoxian will not be able to recognize the other party's cultivation. To make him unable to see the depth of his cultivation, there is only one possibility, the creation realm. In other words, these 7 people are actually transcending tribulation heavenly venerate. At the same time, seeing the 7 big robbery masters, if they were other people they were probably scared and stupid. However, after Chen Daoxian seeing the baptism of the true immortals several times, he was numb to seeing the big robbery. Ancestor. The 7 people suddenly appeared in front of the Zipeo true immortal, and their expressions were slightly stunned at first, and then they knew that they and others were forcibly moved by their ancestors, and they all bowed and saluted. Gu Xing. When Chen Daoxian heard the name of the ancestor, he made a judgment in his heart. Generally speaking, the sect forces call those in charge, either the sect master, the head teacher, or the elders, and very few call the ancestors. Those who can call it that are usually only the power of the Xiuxian family. Just when Chen Daoxian was thinking about it, the Zipeo Zhenxian spoke again. I have paid for the cause and effect of the Phoenix fallen realm. Please remember to practice hard and create less cause and effect. I will wait for you in the upper realm. Everyone's eyes were red when they heard that the ancestors were going to soar. One of the silver-haired monks choked and cried, Ancestor, after you leave, what will happen to the war between my Phoenix meteor realm and the true demon realm? The Zipeo Zhenxian shook his head. Although there are many strong people in the real demon world, it is much more chaotic than our phoenix world, so it's nothing to worry about. Old ancestor, we can't bear you. Wuxia. This sentence actually caused the 7 heavenly venerates to mourn and cry. In the 9-layer thunder tribulation period, one is sad and the other is sad. From ancient times to the present, there have been many heavenly reverends who have crossed the river like Crucian carp crossing the river, but how many people can become the true immortals of Mahayana and ascend to the upper realm? Maybe this parting is forever. How can this make the Jiang family Tianzuan, who grew up under the wings of the Zipeo true immortal, not feel very sad? Seeing those who have been with him for tens of thousands of years, the Jiang family Tianzuan who have been following him since the little children cry, the eyes of the Zipeo Zhanxian also become a little melancholy. He stroked the head of a female cultivator of the Jiang family and sighed, "Cheer! Cheer! Ancestor! Ancestor!" The cultivators couldn't bear it any longer, and they all knelt down at the feet of the ancestors of the Jiang family, kowtowing incessantly. After a long time, everyone stood up. After venting their emotions, everyone knew in their hearts that it was a foregone conclusion that the ancestor of the Jiang family flew to the upper realm, and even if he wanted to stay, Fengyun realm would not be able to accommodate him. The ancestor of the Jiang family glanced at the sky. His eyes penetrated the barriers of this world, and saw the world that was constantly ups and downs in the endless void. Then he looked at the crowd again. "Before leaving, let's give you one last little gift." One of the monks in the crowd endured the grief and cupped his hands. "Old ancestor, please order." Zipeo Zhenxian smiled casually. I saw him raise his hand across the world barrier, grab the void outside the world barrier. Just one breath. A massive creation force was drawn from the endless void into the palm of his hand. Chen Daoxian stared blankly at the opponent's palm. There were at least tens of thousands of drops of this massive fortune-telling power. This is also so perverted. But the rest of the Jiang family Tianzuan didn't know the purpose of the ancestors' move. Although the power of creation is rare for true monarch nascent soul, it is as easy as the palm of their hand for them to extract the power of creation from the spiritual stone. Although their efficiency in extracting the power of creation cannot be compared with that of the ancestors of the Jiang family, they are tens of thousands of times higher than that of true monarch Yuaning. Looking at the puzzled eyes of everyone, Zipeo Zhenxian continued, "It is not difficult for you to extract the power of good fortune, but if the small world we opened up wants to upgrade, the demand for the power of good fortune is huge. At the speed at which you extract the power of creation, it is still too slow." Zipeo Zhenxian paused and continued, "I have created a new magic weapon that can automatically extract the power of creation. Although it costs a lot of spirit stones, it can save you countless hard work." Hearing this, everyone's eyes lit up. A small amount of the power of good fortune really has no effect on them, but a lot of the power of good fortune makes a difference. Not to mention them, even if their ancestors wanted to fly to the upper world, they had to pay off the cause and effect of the main world Phoenix Meteor Realm. And what is used to repay the cause and effect of the Phoenix Meteor world is the power of creation. Speak up. This is also a very fair thing. The monks began to practice from the Chirifining period, all the way to the Mahayana True Immortal, during which they consumed countless resources. And once a monk ascends to the upper realm, it means that he will take away a lot of matter and energy from this realm. If things go on like this, the main world will surely fall into the era of the end of the law when the spiritual energy is exhausted. In order to avoid this situation, every cultivator will extract the power of good fortune from the void to replenish it in the Phoenix falling realm before ascending to the upper realm to repay the cause and effect of his cultivation in this realm. Only in this way, the world consciousness of Fengyun realm will release the Mahayana True Immortal. Don't look at the amazing strength of the Mahayana True Immortal, but if he wants to ascend to the upper realm, in addition to the upper realm's willingness to accept it, the lower realm is also willing to let it go. Otherwise, if the world consciousness of the Phoenix Meteor realm does not allow the Mahayana True Immortal to ascend, this Mahayana True Immortal can only stay in the Phoenix Meteor realm for a lifetime. Normal situation. The world consciousness of the Phoenix Meteor realm would not do such a thing, because the Mahayana True Immortal was like a whale in a lake to a main world like the Phoenix Meteor realm. The lake is too small, the whales are too big, and every time the Mahayana True Immortal stays, the Phoenix meteor realm will bear a huge amount of pressure. Zipeo Zhonxian saw the expectant eyes of everyone, and said with a smile, I name this instrument Qingmu Ding, which means that it will never end. This is the method of refining. You should take good care of it. Zipeo Zhonxian stretched out his palm, and spirit or after another was decomposed in his palm, and impurities and spirit or essence were automatically separated, but unfortunately, the opponent's palm did not have the slightest flame. The rank of the Qingmu Ding is middle grade 4, and it is quite simple to refine. With your refining methods you can refine a tripod in at most 4 or 5 days. Zipeo Zhonxian continued. But Chen Daoxian was not going to continue watching, because he found that in just one stick of incense, half of the comprehension stardust in his sea of consciousness had been consumed. Listening to the meaning of the Zhang family Mahayana true immortal, this cauldron has to be refined for several days. How much comprehension stardust will it consume in a few days? Forget it, he is temporarily unable to supply the consumption of these comprehension stardust, so he can only give up temporarily. Withdrew from the state of Yen Dao. Chen Daoxian found that he had only analyzed the 17 kinds of spiritual or materials for refining Qingmu cauldron. These 17 kinds of spiritual or materials are not difficult to find. The key is the refining method of the purple-robed real fairy. With Chen Daoxian's current level of refining, if he can read it completely, he can almost try refining. Although his artifact refining level is not high, his formation realm is very high, and if he is only refining 4th order mid-grade artifact, he has a very high degree of confidence. Of course, the premise of all this is to get a lot of Jie Yuanzhu. Looking at the 1.5 units of comprehension stardust left in the sea of consciousness, Chen Daoxian suddenly had the idea of breaking through the world. Now, if Chen Daoxian's strength wants to continue to improve, there is only one way to break through the world. With the help of Shengyi Wangguo, his cultivation base has been promoted to the late stage of Jindan, and it is difficult to improve in the short term. The same is true for the cultivation of the physical body, relying on the kung fu of the water mill. Only in the realm of the Dao, Chen Daoxian has 2 plugins of the Star Sword Dao map and the Hongming Enlightenment Classic, which can quickly improve the realm of the Dao. For true monarch Yuaning, the world is as difficult as reaching the sky, but for Chen Daoxian it doesn't seem to be that difficult. The fusion degree of the 3 high-level avenues has reached 50%, and he has already satisfied this condition. Under the blessing of 100 times of comprehension, it seems that it is not impossible to break through the world. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.